From the home of the Birds, Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, the Milwaukee Brewers and the Baltimore Orioles in Game 2 of their three-game series, having met last night. Orioles came away with a win. Coming into tonight's play, the American League East looks like this. Toronto just barely there. Look at everybody in the running. Boston, Baltimore, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Detroit. Yes, even the Yankees, if you could put a win streak together. Hello, everybody. Gary Thorne. The first game last night here in Baltimore for these two teams was an exciting one. 3-0 lead for the Brewers in the 9th inning. The Orioles needed one to tie it up. They were down to their final strike. Tettleton get it. 10th inning, it was Randy Milligan. Dan Plesac, he's the ace out of that bullpen for the Brewers, but Randy Milligan got a piece of this one on a pitch that Plesac said was right where he wanted it. Well, it was right where Randy Milligan wanted it. That was the ball game. 4-3 Baltimore winning in extra innings. For the Orioles, Mike Lupica, they are hot right now. They've won 8 of their last 10.
They were the darlings of baseball last season. Now, the American League East may be a little different for them, but it's the same deal for the Orioles. Name their starting 8 any day of the week, win valuable prizes. But at a time in baseball when everybody pays lip service to doing the little things it takes to win, the Orioles do them every day. And when they hit those home runs Tuesday night, for the first time this season, felt like last season.
Our Sears diehard starting lineup for the Brew Crew tonight. We'll have Paul Molitor leading off at second base. Gary Sheffield playing at third base will bat second. Robin Yount, he's struggling at the plate, batting third. Dave Parker, the DH, batting cleanup. B.J. Surhoff will be behind the plate tonight. Rob Deere in right field will follow him. Greg Brock playing at first base. Greg Vaughn playing in left field. And a hot Billy Spires at shortstop, batting ninth. Let's take a look at the defensive alignment for the Baltimore Orioles. Joe Orsulak will be playing in right field. Brad Comins ends up as a free agent. He's been around. He'll be in center. Bill Bradley's working left field. The infield, Craig Worthington is at third base. Cal Ripken with that streak going that we'll talk about tonight at shortstop. Brother Billy Ripken over at second base. Randy Milligan, he has become a major league first baseman. Bob Melvin, a veteran who's doing well against left-handers, will be behind the plate. And he's in his second year in the major leagues, but he's 30 years old. Dave Johnson will be the starting pitcher tonight. There you see Memorial Stadium. Sunset. Looked like we might get some rain earlier. Then the clouds dissipated. It is a gorgeous night here in Baltimore for tonight's game.
Dave Johnson is one of those heartwarming stories. This guy kicked around the minor leagues from 1982 through late 89 when Baltimore, desperate for pitching in their stretch run, brought him up. He won 4 games in the last couple of months for this club. He's not overpowering in any way. His fastball is, when he's really popping, in the mid-80s. He mixes a curve, a changeup, and a slider. He's a finesse pitcher who must have his control. You'll sit at home tonight, you'll watch Dave Johnson pitch, and you'll say, Martha, I'm going to grab the bat and take a few swings.
I'm not married. I am not going to say Martha to anybody, baby.
But in his last 6 starts, Dave Magic Johnson, thank you, has allowed 2 runs or less in 5 of them. He's given the Orioles what they need, a pitcher who'll take them into the 5th, 6th, 7th inning.
He has a great story. There you see the flags, one of them. There's our temperature, 82, partly cloudy skies. Gentle winds here tonight, the humidity at 40, and our chance of rain 10%, but we'll take a little less than that. Because, Mike Lupica, this is a baseball night. Few shadows.
The National Hurricane Center doesn't give out weather information the way we do at baseball games.
We do it all here. You tune in, you get it all. You may not want it, but you're going to get it anyway. Here in Baltimore, let's take a look at what this yard looks like. Memorial Stadium, you can put one right down the line. You get yourself a fairly cheap home run, but it doesn't last long. 360, then 387, and if you go to center field for one, you have hit a shot. 405 to dead center.
You know, with all the awful ballparks, all those shopping mall ballparks in baseball, we could afford to lose one of those. We're going to lose this one eventually to the wonderful new downtown facility they're building. This one I'd like to keep and move to Pittsburgh or Cincinnati or St. Louis or one of those places.
This is a great ballpark to come and watch a game, and it has the great feature that all ballparks made for baseball do, and that's that the fans are on top of the play. All right, ready to go. Paul Molitor, the Brewers leading the Orioles in the Baltimore, leading Milwaukee in the season series 4 games to 1 already. Last season, Baltimore won the season series 7 games to 6. And they have swapped places in the standings, as you saw in our open. So this series for these two teams right now is to try and take hold of that number 3 spot in the American League Eastern Division. 2 consecutive wins for this Dave Johnson. He's ready to go to Molitor. And he's in for a strike, and we are underway on our ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball game.
Dave Johnson spent 6 years in the Pittsburgh system. He was thought so highly of as a kid, he wasn't drafted. And they draft 1,000 people when they go through those drafts.
Frank Robinson, the skipper of the Orioles, taken outside. He, like Joe Morgan, has spent some time hanging around watching games since he's been managing. Joe Morgan sitting out 3 now as he lost his appeal with the Red Sox. Frank Robinson last season went through a couple of sessions with umpires. Johnson's pitch, Molitor to third, off the glove of Worthington. Ripken up with it. He's got a chance. He did not get it. He sure gave it a whirl. I'd call that a hit.
I wouldn't. How did he miss this ball at third base?
I think it waffled on him.
It appeared as though Worthington misjudged how hard this ball was hit, didn't he?
Just waffled out there.
Yeah.
And it is a single because the official scorer is my father. And he's watching the game, and once you heard me say that, and you say you wouldn't give it to him, we got it.
Yeah, we got a lot of Harvard grads doing official scoring in this sport.
I tell you what, that keeps an Orioles streak alive. You know, their infield hasn't committed an error in 15 games.
No wonder.
No wonder, exactly. Now we see why.
They've had 15 games at home. Here's Gary Sheffield. And it's taken down low for a ball. Sheffield, a 5-game hit streak. This guy is 10th in hitting in the American League right now. And I bet you not many people realize that, but he's moved the numbers up, and he's getting on base. He's 3rd in doubles. And seems to be settling in as a fine young ball player for the Milwaukee Brewers.
And all the he's trouble talk is stopped, too.
That happens when you start going well. Towards 3rd, it'll be foul.
This winter, Don Baylor went down to Tampa. Gary is...
Does that piece of tape need any comment there? Or
No.
Yeah, okay, good.
Not if you want to work. It's an unusual place to foul a pitch. He's wearing the shin guard on the ankle. Inside. Foul back, and Johnson goes ahead on the count, 1-2.
Better that than his batting helmet.
True.
If he's going to have one thing on correctly, it ought to be the helmet.
You know, this kid you were mentioning, Mike, he got a lot of help. Dave Parker and Don Baylor being together on the same team has really helped him.
Don Baylor went down there this winter and spent some time with him and came back and said to Harry Dalton, if this kid is trouble, then maybe we're doing something wrong.
They've hung with him. He leads the team in hits with 52, with doubles with 16. What an unusual stance. You put the pitcher, Dave Johnson's delivery position, along with Sheffield's position at the plate, and you have 2 of the most awkward-looking stances for a pitcher and hitter that you'll ever see.
These 2 will never dance together.
You don't know that. Look at this stance. How that back leg cocked in, front leg cocked in. And look at Dave Johnson on the mound. Look at that position. Dads, don't let your kids grow up to be Gary Sheffield and Dave Johnson. Unless they can play this way. Tom Troublehorn, the skipper, who's in a bit of a funk for this club the way it's going right now. He calls it collected chaos. I asked him before the game to describe it. He said, what we're doing right now is collected chaos. He says, if you ran a buzzsaw around your butt and then said which one of the teeth did the most damage, that's the same thing I'm saying about this team. So I don't know what we do worse. We do everything bad right now. And it's a matter of everyone getting the job done to turn it around. No, he said that.
A buzzsaw
around your butt.
Well, so he's gone.
I thought it was pretty good.
Good. They have no chance.
Actually, that's not exactly what he said, but he cleaned it up a little. Here's the 2-2, and it's a full count on Sheffield.
One other thing Milwaukee is spending, and that's a bunch of bucks on shuttling players back and forth to Denver. People keep coming off the disabled list here and go to rehab and work their way back through Denver, and they're all over the place. this is a club whose roster hasn't remained solid for any 10-day period this season. It's
That's
literally
tough.
check into the locker room and say, hey, where's so-and-so?
Who are you?
And who are you?
Runner goes, and it's fouled off. Paul Molitor at first base, who had the infield singles, been down there about 3 times, but each time he's had to come back to first. Sheffield fighting off Dave Johnson.
Let's see.
Look at these. There's Dave Johnson. He gets great kick from that back leg, and there's that positioning of the hitter who gets that great stride forward by pushing off that back leg that's cocked in.
You'd hope that would give him great something.
Well, it's working for both of them right now. 3-2. Molitor goes. Right field line. Randy Milligan giving chase onto the tarp. And we'll do 3-2 again.
You know, the Brewers have a problem. They were a 500 team last year. Now we're this far into the season. They're a 500 team again. It's time for them to step up. I mean, they have had pitching problems. Everybody in baseball this side of Oakland usually has them. This team has to get to the next level somehow, and they're still having trouble picking up the ball, throwing the ball, and delivering in the clutch.
And keeping people healthy. They have a terrible history of injury on this club.
Year after year.
Yeah, it never seems to cease here.
Because they have talent. There isn't any question about that. Sheffield, a 3-2. Molitor running again. Shallow left field. Bradley moving over towards the line. He's got plenty of room. And Molitor will go back again. Good at-bat for Sheffield, though. He really made Dave Johnson work through a lot of pitchers. Umpires for tonight's game. Tim Cheetah's working behind the plate. Terry Cooney, Joe Brinkman, and Vic Voltaggio make up the crew. Brinkman, the veteran, at second base on this particular crew.
You know, you just mentioned something, Gary, that goes almost totally unnoticed in baseball, and that's the at-bat Sheffield had in making an out. If later in this game he hits Dave Johnson, it may be as a result of seeing everything Johnson has to throw in one at-bat early in the game.
Good point, and he did. And he also working for pitches, which you want to do early. It's made the inning long now for Dave Johnson already. Runner at first base still Molitor, and here's Robin Yount. The Yount not used to batting at 242. The 34-year-old has struggled at the plate this season. And he takes the fastball for a strike.
Of all the problems the Brewers are having right now, Robin Yount just not doing the job might be the chief problem. And if he hits 242 all year, then they're going to finish fourth.
He is a lifetime 292 hitter, and he still has a chance, believe it or not, to catch Pete Rose. It would take the kind of Rose career late for him to do it, but Yount could. Not the way he's hitting right now. Outside by Johnson, 1 ball and 1 strike. Now checking at third. Duffy Dyer. Molitor has been off and running at first base already here in the top half of the first inning, trying to avoid the double play. Molitor has 9 stolen bases. And Robin Yount takes the pitch, looks down for a long time, and it's 1-2. Don Treblehorn said before the game about Yount, I'm not going to do anything with him. He's going to play unless he wants out. He says, after all Robin Yount has given this club, I'm not pulling him out of there because I feel he can produce. He's just too good. He's pressing at the plate, Treblehorn thinks, and the only way to get out of it is doing that. Base hit, center field. Molitor's on his way to third. Up with it is Brad Kominsk, and the Brewers have runners at first and third as Robin Yount delivers a single, and he's 9 for his last 29 at the plate. Maybe he's coming out of it.
Yount on first and Molitor on third. Brewers fans haven't seen that too much over the years, have they?
And they score. That's what happens. And now the newly acquired. There you see Molitor legging. He's got good speed. And there was no play on him at third. Corners covered for the big guy, the Cobra, Dave Parker. That .322 batting average right now is the 7th best in the American League.
He was sitting watching the Rangers play the A's on television with Don Baylor this afternoon. Every time an A's guy would make an out, Parker'd say, see how much they miss me? They really miss me, DB.
He loved that ball club. Loved being there, but the benefits were too much elsewhere. Popped up left field line. Worthington going back to third baseman. Bradley coming in, no play. There's Dave Parker's package right there. Not bad. 3 gold gloves is the one that might surprise some people. We forget about that now that he's a DH.
You know what else you forget about is this guy used to be a real threat on the base paths.
You didn't want to get in front of him when he was stealing bases.
No.
He was the leadoff hitter for the Pittsburgh Pirates. July 12, 1973. Leadoff hitter. That's where he made his debut with the Pirates in that position for them.
Do you remember the sticks they had on that club? My goodness.
Great team. That's where one of those rings came from.
He has not always been a beloved figure wherever he goes. They don't always give him the key to the city.
It's really funny, isn't it, that Parker's now known as a good clubhouse influence? Because you're right, Mike. That's been a debatable fact.
Foul back by Parker, 1 and 2.
Oh, there was a great stretch of his career where you didn't want to go near his locker. He was a pain.
And there was a reason. I mean, he ran into the drug problems. It didn't help anything out. Not his career, not the way he related with others. And perhaps that's one of the reasons why he's so good now in the clubhouse, is that he's been through all of that.
There's very little Dave Parker hasn't seen in a major league career.
Or said.
Or said. First and third, 1 away. Johnson's pitch is foul back. Parker has hit into 5 double plays, and that's what Dave Johnson wants right here.
No runs have been scored. This inning will be available on video cassette in the fall, and you can just pick the parts, the foul balls you like the best.
Unless it hurries, we may have to put out a 2 or 3 tape set.
Just remember, as Norm said, though, remember this first inning and all the pitches that guy's throwing right.
How could you forget it?
Well, you could try. You might want to. Dave Johnson might want to. 1-2, 1 away. Parker to left field. Bradley again. Tagging up at third base is Molitor. Bradley makes the catch. It'll be cut off by Worthington, and going down to second base on it. Robin Yount. RBI for Parker. Sacrifice fly. 1-0 Brewers.
Wait a minute here. What in the world was that throw doing coming to home plate? He couldn't have gotten Molitor with a rifle, much less the baseball. You got to throw that ball to second base and keep Yount at first base. That's a major mistake.
That puts a runner in scoring position with 2 down.
Makes me a happy guy for talking about how the Orioles do all those little things to win in the open. Thanks, Phil.
He does not have the strong arm in left field. And the cutoff man was way down low, halfway down the third baseline. So B.J. Surhoff is given an RBI opportunity now for Parker. Credit him with the RBI, his 35th. He leads the Brewers in runs batted in. And Surhoff has hit safely in the last 5, going 8 for his last 18. He doesn't like the call. Strike 1.
Give Yount some credit. He saw Bradley lining up as though he were going to throw home. Yount headed right back to first base to tag up, realizing that Bradley couldn't get the ball to the cutoff man, and the cutoff man get the ball to second base in time to stop him from picking up that base.
You can't even make a pass at making an excuse when an outfielder does that with the whole play in front of him. It's just dumb.
And that's, as we mentioned earlier, and you're very correct in the open mic, this is an Oriole team that probably does the little things in baseball. Catches the ball, throws the ball, takes a walk when you offer it to them, about as well as any team in this.
They have to. They have to.
Right? Because their talent level is not on a par with the others.
Surhoff will step out as Johnson takes a little too long.
Even Tim Tashita's starting to clap, saying, let's pick up the pace a little bit here.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 away. And it's ripped foul. He got out in front of it. He guessed right. He liked that one up around the eyes, and that's going to send Bob Melvin, the catcher, out to talk with Dave Johnson. Johnson's lifetime record in the major leagues, 9 wins and 10 losses at the age of 30. He was the oldest rookie to play last season. Look at that pitch count already.
But oh, how his life has changed since last season. He and his wife and child moved out of their trailer. They got themselves a home, a real place to live after last season.
You got to want it bad to hang around.
Yep.
All the minor league seasons that he did.
And every year he played winter ball to get a little extra money.
Just missed. Surhoff leaning out over the plate to take a close look at that one. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
He also stopped driving truck, guys. He did that in the offseason to make money.
Don't worry, Norm. They don't have cable generally at the trailer park, so you're pretty safe.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Runner at second base. Johnson tried to get him inside, and the count goes full again. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Robin Yount in scoring position at second with his single. Dave Johnson, in those 7 seasons with the Pirates, 318 appearances, and only 5 times did he appear in a major league game during those years. 3-2, right field. Backing up, ball's carrying. Orsulak warning track. He's got it. That's a tough sun field right there. That's the only place the sun is left. So after the first hour, it's 1-0 Milwaukee. Here's our Sears diehard starting lineup for the Baltimore Orioles. Bill Bradley leading it off in left field. Joe Orsulak will bat second. He's in right. Randy Milligan, the game winner last night at first base. Mickey Tuttleton, the home run that tied at the DH, batting fourth. At third base, Craig Worthington will bat fifth. Cal Ripken, the shortstop, followed by Bob Melvin. He'll be doing the catching. Brad Commons, one of the new birds, is batting eighth. And Brother Billy Ripken, second base, batting ninth. The defensive alignment for the Brewers, Rob Deere in right field, Robin Yount in center, Greg Vaughn in left. The infield has Sheffield at third, Billy Spires the shortstop, Tom Hollander at second, Greg Brock at first. B.J. Surhoff, battery made for him tonight, 31-year-old left-hander Teddy Higuera.
Boy, does he have a pitcher's name. Teodoro Valenzuela Higuera. Teddy Higuera has had a lot of little and big injury problems over the last couple of years, but in between you can see he's doing a dynamite job. A microscopic 1.79 earned run average this year. The 31-year-old Higuera mixes a fastball, slider, and changeup. When he's right, he's up and down, he's in and out, and you take a comfy 0 for 4 back to the dugout.
Now we'll have to keep a very close eye on Higuera tonight as Phil Bradley steps in. Higuera came out of the last game pulling a groin muscle while he was pitching against the Orioles in Milwaukee in his last outing. In the 4th inning while he was warming up, he pulled the groin. They were very tentative about his start in this game. And they're going to keep a very close eye. He's also got a bad knee, fouled off. So we'll see if the wheels hold up for Teddy Higuera.
The bad knee came courtesy of an absolute bullet that Henry Cotto of Seattle hit right back at him and right off the knee. This spring, he was hit by a shot from Jerome Walton in the neck.
It's a tough game, and Phil Bradley's got a base hit. And Bradley has really come on to the leadoff batter. That's 8 for his last 17.
I was talking to Ellie Hendricks, the Orioles coach, before the game, and he said, as Phil Bradley goes, so goes our offense. And Bradley's really started to pick it up after a bad start, like a lot of them had a bad start. He's a very important player on this team, a very solid player.
Well, he's getting it done the leadoff spot. Now he's on base, and he's a 400 hitter against Teddy Higuera with a lot of at-bats. He's now over 400 against Higuera with that base hit. Now Joe Orsulak. Orsulak's had a very fine first third of the season. The 27-year-old, 2 for his last 14 as the bats cooled off a little bit over the past few games, trying to move the runner up. Fouls it back.
He had a very good year last year. Quietly, you know, he was obscured by Tettleton, I think, more than anybody else. Just the heroics of Mickey Tettleton. But Orsulak hit 285 last year, and he's just continued this year.
Well, he's the answer to that question. Again, you talked about the no names in this lineup. Who is without question the best hitter in the Oriole lineup? This guy. And you wouldn't get 3 people around America outside of Baltimore who knew that.
At him leaning, he'll hold him up, and he did not come up to bunt on that one. Orsulak has really bounced around. Struggled against left-handers last year, just barely hit 200 off the lefties. Didn't get a lot of chances against them, but Frank's playing him this year, and he fouls that one off. You can tell by the cut he has on Higuera, it's a struggle for him against the lefty, which is not uncommon. for a left-hander against a left-hander. There's Frank Robinson with his lineup card.
By the way, does Frank dropping Cal Ripken to 6th in the order, does that qualify like his half a day off? That's as close as they come around here.
Yeah, he did move him down in that order. First time that he's been there since 1982. Throw over to first, and Bradley's back.
He's having a bad year.
Yep. So I hope that'll loosen you up, put you down the order where there's not so much pressure on you. Teddy Higuera, who's not known for having a good start. That's another bright spot if he can stay healthy. Orsolak, he fooled him on that one. First or second? Second. That'll be played by Molitor. Bradley remains at first, one away. Bill Patrick's in our Baseball Tonight studios. Hello, William.
Hello, Gary. Despite the heroics of the red-hot Ryne Sandberg, the Mets have taken 2 from the Cubs this afternoon. Rhino with 3 homers in the doubleheader, including this 3-run shot in the 9th. Too little, too late. The Mets take Game 2, 9-6. They won the first game 15-10. 36 hits combined for the Mets and the Twin Bill. Back to Baltimore.
Boy, that is a big doubleheader win for the New York Mets, who suddenly are making a run. And here comes Tom Trevelhorn, and he doesn't like something about Higuera. This is an injury check. He's bringing the trainer with him. He goes to the home plate umpire, Ted Cheetah. This is a check to see if Higuera has an injury problem.
You can only guess at what it might be. As we said before, the groin pull took him out of his last start.
That's it. He's going. Teddy Higuera is not going to be able to stay in the game. Now, I asked Tom what would happen in this situation, and Trevelhorn said Knutson was going to start this game if Higuera couldn't. But with Higuera starting, he says, I'm just going to go to the bullpen. Take a look at Ted Higuera. You can see the wince right there.
You can see the glove hand reach down.
Yep.
I hate to go back to our open again, but you know what this means, guys. This means undecided starts again a couple of times next week.
Worse than that for Trevelhorn, this bullpen has not performed well this year.
More in just a moment, but you tell me if Cecil Fielder likes Wednesday nights. Last week he hit 3 in a game, and tonight against the Tigers, against the Indians rather, he's off to that kind of a start. It's a 1-1 game thanks to Fielder's 23rd. 57 RBIs also leads the majors. It's a 1-1 game. Let's go back to Baltimore and rejoin Gary, Mike, and Norm.
They just can't stop him. There is no book, I guess, on Mr. Fielder. Well, here comes Mr. Knutson. So Tom Trevelhorn has decided that Higuera went just 2 hitters, so he's going to take the guy who was ready to start if Higuera couldn't have pitched, and Mark Knutson, the right-hander's on.
Mark Knutson will turn 30 this October. He's a former 3rd-round pick of the Houston Astros after a college career at Colorado State University. Spent 4 full years in the Astro chain before bouncing up and down between Houston and AAA, and then getting traded over to the Milwaukee Brewers in August of 1986. In 86, 87, and 88, he was up and down between AAA and the major leagues. 89, all the Brewer injuries to their staff created a situation where Knutson spent the whole year in the major leagues for the first time in his 8 years in pro ball. And for the first time last year, he was used much of the time in relief after a career as a starter. He will have all the time he needs to warm up.
I want to remind you, Friday night doubleheader, and it's a good one. The Oakland A's and the Chicago White Sox. Let's see who's for real. The A's without Canseco. The White Sox, the Baltimore Orioles of the 1990 season. That will kick it off Friday night at 8:30. That's a great matchup. And then the Texas Rangers trying to get it together. They're out of the cellar. And the Seattle Mariners, another surprise team this season with some outstanding pitching. That's the second game Friday at 10:30.
By the way, in that second game Friday, we're going to see 2 terrific young pitchers. Kevin Brown for Texas and Brian Holman for Seattle. Remember those 2 names. Those are 2 of the better-looking youngsters in the American League.
You know, right now the White Sox of 1990 are a lot better than the Orioles of 1989. I mean, the fact is, if there had been any good teams in the American League East last year, the Orioles would have ended up finishing about 10 or 12 games out. But they stayed in there and stayed in there. Nobody came up on them. And then it wasn't until the very end that they died. And the fact is that this year, they're only about 4 games worse than they were at this time last year. But it's the division that's changed around. And Toronto and Boston are just a lot better than they were at this time last year.
See Oakland getting their win. That's a big win for them, and Canseco's situation is obviously a serious one. Dave Parker was saying before the game, if Canseco's really hurt, the Oakland A's are in trouble. I mean, you don't have to know much about baseball to know that, but he means a lot to that team. He and McGuire just bring that go ahead, try and beat us attitude to the ballpark. You just don't replace Jose Canseco.
Well, combine that with the fact that the steady hand in the lineup, Carney Lansford's hurting a bit too, and the fact that a lot of the other guys are streakers. McGuire will go hot and cold, Steinbach will go hot and cold, Henderson will go hot and cold. That's a team that could encounter some really bad offensive stretches, and teams could be beating them.
For those of you just waking up and haven't missed anything, the Milwaukee Brewers scored in the first inning on a Parker sacrifice fly to make it 1-0, bringing Molitor home. Here in the bottom half of the inning, Teddy Higuera gave up a leadoff single to Bradley, got Orsulak on a pop-out, and then pulled the groin muscle again and is out of the game. Mark Knudsen, the right-hander, is on in relief to face Randy Milligan. Warming up, and we've got a runner on at first base in Bradley with one down. And the folks making the concession stands rich in the first inning of this game. Who's going to make the big move? Well, right now, those are the teams that are hot. And you see Baltimore is the top of the list.
And there's been no fancy formula here for Baltimore doing this. They've simply started generating a little offense. They're starting pitching. Ballard's pitched better over this period, and that's helped them. But they don't beat themselves. This is a team that truly is testimony to the fact that if you'll just hang around, the other team will lose the game for you a lot of nights.
What happened last night with the Brewers? Randy Milligan, who won the game last night with a home run. 6 extra base hits in a row for him, is going to end right here. Played by Sheffield, won the relay to Molitor, and they got it. Well, that didn't take long. Knudsen warmed up through 80 pitches, threw 1 when it started. Milligan hits into the double play. No runs and a base hit. Johnson threw 28 pitches in that first inning for the Orioles. Let's see if he can get out of the second a little better than he did the first. Deere, Brock, and Thorne up for the Brewers.
He'd better throw less. This will be the first guy removed for fatigue in the third inning.
A lot of pitches. Down low, ball 1 to Rob Deere. Deere leading the ball club in home runs. He has 8. Also leads them in strikeouts, 47. He has drawn 26 walks this season, and he goes ahead on the count here. 2 balls and no strikes. This guy can hit home runs. He finished up last season with 26 home runs, 466 at-bats. He had the 4th best ratio of home runs hit per plate appearances in the league last year. Johnson starting out just like he did in the first inning. He's behind on the count, 3-0.
But Gary, you're right about Deere. The key stat for Deere isn't the home runs, it's the walks. Because Deere's getting on base at a 361 clip right now with his arm and his power. That's totally acceptable.
Right down the gut.
Who cares if he strikes out 190 times? If he's hitting homers and getting on base 361, that's terrific. Who cares how you make your outs?
And 25 RBIs. Played deep and straight away. 3-2.
Now, you know that statistics don't exactly make me want to throw cold water on myself. But Deere, statistically, is having about the same kind of year as Cal Ripken Jr. Batting average, home runs, RBI, the whole deal.
One's expected and one isn't. Deere, left center field. Good ride. Back for it at the wall. Comets with room, and he's good. 387 to reach the fence in that part of Memorial Stadium. Brad Comets, the center fielder, back to get it. One away in the second inning.
Let's see, Davy Johnson's now faced 6 men. He's thrown 34 pitches. He's got an outfield single, a fly to left, a fly to left, a long fly to right, and a long fly to deep left center.
The fly ball pitcher.
I don't think he wants them that long, though. I think he's thinking like second baseman goes back to catch him.
You take them anywhere you can get them if they land in somebody's glove.
As long as there's grass under it when it comes down, right?
Another one of the long ball specialists, Greg Brock here, but he's only had 1 home run. Foul off.
So that would put his status as a long ball specialist in jeopardy.
In jeopardy.
He's right. He's on the bubble now. If he stays at 1, I don't think we can call him a long ball specialist anymore.
I think there's a good chance of that. playing him to pull. He does. Diving off Ripken's glove. That slows it down. Brock will stop, though, at first base as Orsulak gets it back in. And Brock's on with a single, the third hit for the Brewers.
He was a 300 hitter when we saw him a month ago. He has really dropped like a rock.
Not hard hit, but with eyes.
Great effort. You saw the jump to second base is what made the difference. He was playing the pitch. The pitch was going to be in the outside part of the plate. He didn't think he was going to pull, so he was moving to second for his first motion, and that cost him the chance to get that ground ball. Milwaukee with a 1-0 lead and a runner on at first base for Vaughn, who sits safely in 4 straight. Greg Vaughn fouls it off. Strike 1.
Here's another guy just back off the disabled list with left ankle problems. You know, the Brewers probably are the team that forced newspapers to have a transaction column every day. Because for the last 3 or 4 years, they've got a spot in good standing ready for this club every day in the transaction column.
Right back overhead. And they're going to use it again because Jim Gantner's ready to come off the DL tomorrow. And in fact, they're going to do it tonight after the game. Probably either Edens or another one of their pitchers in the bullpen is going to be sent down.
Yeah, but what if Teddy can't go?
And they won't have to worry about it.
Then they won't have to worry about it. Then those two guys get to stay, and it's some other kind of move.
Which is not what the Brewers wanted to do. Johnson's pitch, foul back, and they are after us. 2 up over our heads here behind home plate.
You know, if Gantner comes back and hits, it may mean that Paul Molitor is going to end up at first base for this team. I mean, he's played everywhere, and he might turn out to be the Brewers' first baseman.
Hi, Mom. Good view here at Memorial Stadium from the press box, right almost directly behind home plate. Runner at first, infield playing for 2 with 1 down. The 0-2. Look out. Got him on the knuckles. Just barely got a piece of him, and Vaughn is on, hit by a pitch, and the Brewers have runners at first and second. And Dave Johnson's in trouble again with Spires, the number 9 hitter, coming up.
It's just nice to see a pitcher come inside once in a while in this sport anymore. Don Baylor was saying before the game, it just isn't done anymore, and it's so unusual that when it is done, it almost always results in a fight these days.
That's what happens.
Or a hit batsman, because you're right. A lot of hitters get so surprised the ball's inside, they don't get out of the way of it very well.
A lot of leaning goes on nowadays out over that plate for that reason, as Norm said, just not looking for it. So Vaughn is on, hit by the pitch, and now Dave Johnson faces a very hot number 9 hitter. Billy Spires sits safely in 7 games, 12 for 26, raising the average to 269. 2 on for him, and Johnson's in.
Baylor was talking about Nolan Ryan before the game, and of course Baylor was hit about 6 million times in his career, and he said Nolan Ryan hit him in 72, and it was the only time he ever asked for the ethyl chloride. And he said it also took 9 years after that, but it broke his wrist.
It's a great story. 1 strike count and 1 out. Reached for that one. Spires 0-2.
Baylor said he was halfway down to first, and he couldn't even wave for the ethyl chloride.
Yeah, that was funny. He said, I wanted to call timeout and make a tee, but he said I couldn't get my hand up to do that. So he said, I just kind of raised my arm and said timeout.
He just made an L, and they didn't know what he meant.
0-2 the count. 1 away.
Rest assured, Nolan Ryan is not afraid of claiming the inside corner. People do not dive at his outside pitches.
People do not dig in either.
No, no.
0-2 towards third. Base hit down the line. Spires went the other way. Coming into third, making the turn is Brock. He'll score. Vaughn. He's coming around. He'll be held up, and it's a double and an RBI. And Billy Spires has an 8-game hit streak. And the number 9 hitter makes it 2-0. For Spires, his 10th run batted in.
This is a wonderful piece of hitting by Billy Spires. The ball is up, it's out, and all Spires does is make contact. Use the whole field. You know, there was a lot of criticism of the Brewers a couple years ago when they took Spires. They said, what in the world are you doing drafting a shortstop? Sheffield's the shortstop of the future there. Funny, but they found room for both of them on the left side of the infield.
He is certainly paying off right now for the Brewers, and they have a 2-0 lead on 4 hits, 2 in this inning. And Paul Molitor, the leadoff batter, who singled and scored in the first inning. And Dave Johnson has nothing working for him. He's not fooling anybody with anything thus far. The bullpen will become active for the Orioles.
Warming up in downtown Washington is a left-hander. A long way out. Joe Price up and throwing.
Another veteran warming up. There he is.
He's had several lives in baseball, hasn't he?
He's a left-handed pitcher.
That's all you need to be.
Well, except for you.
Well, that's taken outside, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. 1 down, 2 in scoring position.
I mean, you were a left-handed pitcher.
That's right.
You were
still in baseball.
Yeah, you're with us. So
I grant you, it's a big come down, but I'm still in baseball.
It's like that country song, From the Gutter to You, is not up.
Tap, foul, breaking ball that time by Johnson, 2-1.
Gary, you were a left-hand pitcher slash lawyer.
I am much prouder of being a left-handed catcher. For all of you who ever wanted to be a left-handed catcher, I did it in high school and 2 years of college behind the plate and never hit a batter throwing a second.
This was in the state of Maine.
Baseball's not so bad up there. 2-1 count, 1 out.
Well, you're riding high now that you have the manager of the New York Yankees, but that'll probably change.
Come on, Stumper. 2-0 lead here for the Brewers. They're trying to add to it. That's a high strike call made by Tim Cheetah. And the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Orioles playing back. They'll give up that run at third in the person of Thorne.
Johnson must feel that tonight he spent as much time here as he did in the minor leagues.
He is really struggling to, number one, get the pitch across, and secondly, to be fooling the hitters. Fastball is outside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Paul Molitor, a lifetime 300 hitter.
Well, he better start fooling somebody soon, because Frank Robinson isn't going to go much further with him in this game.
Hasn't helped that 4.23 earned run average thus far. 3-2. Molitor fouls it off. That was a good pitch.
You know, this is something that I always wonder about with managers, but, you know, managers are so much smarter than the rest of us. If this guy breaks the game open now, he stayed with this pitcher too long. If this were a 4-0 game, he's out of the game.
Incredible number of pitches. We're only in the 2nd inning. That's a half a game he's already thrown. Pitched against the Brewers in the last outing Thursday. 7 2/3 innings in that game. 5-2 win. That's deep to left field, but it's going to be fouled. Off the press facade on the 2nd level.
You can just feel a bullet headed someplace, because Dave Johnson really doesn't have much. And, you know, a minute ago, Gary, you said, that's a good pitch. Oh, here comes Frank. Frank might have seen the same thing. You said this good pitch. The problem with Dave Johnson is even when he makes a good pitch, he doesn't have the big-time stuff so that the good pitch blows the hitter away.
And Frank Robinson has seen enough. That long foul ball. They'll have a little discussion here. Took a look out into the bullpen. Didn't get the tip of the hat, so he'll hang in there as Price continues to get ready. There you see for the Baltimore Orioles this season, Johnson and Harnish 11-5 after that. Those are bad numbers for the starters. Baltimore Orioles coming into the game, their pitching staff 3.96 is 6th in the league in ERA. Not bad. Bases are loaded.
Yeah, but Gary, that's thanks to that phenomenal closer Greg Olson and some of his numbers.
All right, let's check in with Bill Patrick in our Baseball Tonight studios. Bill?
All right, Gary, in the Bronx, Roger Clemens of the Red Sox looking for his 11th win, but he trails the Yankees 1-0. With 2 outs in the bottom of the first, Mel Hall singling home Roberto Kelly. The Yankees and Tim Leary lead. Roger Clemens and the Red Sox 1-0. Now back to Gary Thorne and friends in Baltimore.
Roger Clemens. You don't get many of those off him. We'll see whether or not they can make it stand up. Red Sox struggling right now. Falling out of first place. Lost 3. 2-0 lead here. Bases loaded. Here's Sheffield. Popped him up. He reached for it. Was not patient on that one. Infield fly rule. Worthington puts it away. And there are 2 down. Sheffield's out of there.
He's just walked the bases loaded, and he won't look at one pitch. That's like Bradley throwing home. I mean, it's the same type of mental error.
We see it so often in baseball today, and you talk with some of the veterans who are still playing and those who are through the game, and they just shake their head. There just isn't an answer.
Well, as a hitter, you're advantaged having Johnson simply throw pitches in this situation. Throw and throw and throw. The more you make him throw, the more chance it is he's going to make a mistake.
Batting coaches in this sport right now must feel like they're yelling at the ocean.
Well, I think most managers do, too. You don't do much managing of these players anymore. They have more power than you do.
Ellie Hendricks was saying before the game that the Orioles are still in this honeymoon period where the players actually do what they tell them to do.
2 down. Bases loaded. Towards third. What a great start. Worthington. Yes, they got the out. Robbed of a bases-loaded 2 RBI single. Craig Worthington at third base denies Robin Yount. And that's going to keep Dave Johnson in the game. 2-0.
Furnished by Major League Baseball.
The only reason this is a 2-0 game and not a 4-0 game is Craig Worthington at third base. You will not see a finer play. Think about Brooks Robinson when you look at this one.
There are moments early in games that change the faces of games. This face changes on this play. Milwaukee would be up 4 and hitting to make it 5 or 6 with a potential laugher. Now, a bloop and a blast, and we're even.
You know, Gary, isn't it interesting how often in this game the guy who makes the great play in the field is in the on-deck circle in the next inning?
They're always close to the batter's
Isn't that
box.
funny, huh?
Here's Mickey Tuttleton. The other thing about that play, I mean, the stop was absolutely magnificent, but that was not an easy throw. That was a long throw on his knees to second base, and he made it with some zip.
There's an example of he's weighed all the options in his own mind, and he knows if it's hit there, where he's got to go, and he composed himself and made a heck of a play.
Oh, he did. Mickey Tuttleton will lead it off against Mark Knudsen. In for Higuera. It's inside for a ball. Tuttleton had a nice surprise last night. 1-2 pitch, 9th inning. With the Orioles trailing, not trailing anymore. That tied the game up at 3-3. Plesac gave it up, and then Randy Milligan hit the homer in the 10th. Fouled off third base side. Sheffield going over. There'll be no play.
Plesac still loved the pitch today, too. I was reading the papers, and he was still in love with that pitch, and it's, of course, it's going to stay where it is over the wall forever.
Well, you know, a lot of times announcers will knee-jerk say, oh, pitcher's mistake. Sometimes a good hitter just goes down and gets a good pitch, and Tettleton and Milligan did that last night. Those were not fat ones that Plesac threw. They were good pitches that the hitter did a marvelous job on.
No question. Plesac was right. He got it where he wanted it. Comes back inside here, 2-1.
Here's a guy who's going to make a lot of money as a free agent hitting for the Baltimore Orioles, Mickey Tettleton.
Tettleton last season, of course, ran the Fruit Loops routine with all the home runs. He got a home run every 15 times he came to the plate. Now, that number obviously has dwindled away significantly this season with the 8 home runs. He's also struck out 68 times already this year. He had 117 strikeouts last year. The strikeouts are okay when you get in the long ball. Foul tip. Couldn't hang on to it. Surhoff. There are those strikeout leaders right there. Bobby, then Rob Deere, Pete Incaviglia, and look what Tettleton will do this season if he continues striking out at the current rate.
The usual list of suspects, I might add.
Guilty. 2-2. 3-2.
When I was a kid, it was Dave Nicholson.
Dave Nicholson.
You bet.
Yep.
And the Mick. Mick could strike out.
That was okay, though.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Wasn't any problem with that. 3-2, nobody on, nobody out. Got it. Knutson gets the strikeout, one away in the second inning. Worthington coming up the first, going up Kilpatrick.
All right, Gary, you punch in the phrase bad hop single. This is what you'll see. Tony Phillips, way over the head of Jerry Brown. Scott Lusader scores. The Tigers take a 2-1 lead over the Tribe in Detroit in the fourth inning. Now let's head back to Memorial Stadium.
That's quality ball player right there.
That is not far away from being a pretty good team this year. The Tigers, who started out 11-22.
Greg Worthington, who made the great play, takes the pitch inside for a ball.
And don't look now, but Jack Morris and Jeff Robinson are showing some signs of returning to form. McCullers in their bullpen gives them a nice setup man for Gibson and Henneman. It's not a bad baseball team.
Detroit needs it. The city for the ball club to generate some interest in their Tigers once again. Talking about great ballparks to see a game in. If you've never been to Tiger Stadium and you're a baseball fan, that's a must.
I think it's the best.
It's a great old yard. 1-1 fastball is there, 1-2.
We've talked about this before, and it really doesn't get considered with Fenway and Wrigley, and there is not a bad seat in that ballpark, and you feel like you're right on top of the game.
Well,
1-2 delivery by Knutson.
it's that huge overhang. The park is large, but it feels so small when you're in it. It's the kind of a place where one person buys a hot dog and 15,000 smell it.
2-2. You can smell hot dogs from a lot of years at Tiger Stadium.
Let me tell you something else. And your host is Mr. Ernie Harwell, one of the greats of all time. One of the gentlemen of this sport.
A first-class man. If you haven't read his book, pick it up. 3-2 delivery. The center field. Pretty good wood on that. Robin Yount. 405 for that wall, and there are two down. Worthington out of there. Ernie has a paperback book out. Ernie Harwell. It's a wonderful, just sit by the fire, sit on the beach, summer kind of reading if you want.
There is a voice that is part of the music of this sport.
And a man who's written a lot of music.
Yeah.
Written songs for B.J. Thomas, Mitch Ryder, and the Detroit Wheel.
What a wonderful guy. I'm driving in a car at night. I looked at Detroit baseball and Ernie Harwell. Strike call, 2 down and nobody on. Second inning. The Brewers are leading it here for Baltimore 2-0, and Cal Ripken. A story with many pages.
Hey, if he keeps going the way he's going, he might break Lou Gehrig's records, but he's going to be hitting about 175 when he does.
You've moved him down in the lineup. This is the first time that he's batted 6 since 1982, just to try and take some of the pressure off. Because the hits just aren't coming at all. 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 down. Towards third. Sheffield. And they're still not coming. And Knutson retires the side in order. We've completed 2 here at Memorial Stadium. Milwaukee Brewers leading at 2-0. Brewers leading at 2-0, and they'll have Dave Parker leading it off for them here. And there he is, the big guy without the sledgehammer. What does he bring to a team? We talked with him before the game.
Well, basically, I'm just coming over being myself. I'm kind of a fun-loving guy, sort of a free spirit, and I believe in being around a jubilant atmosphere, and I come over and try to make it as much fun as I possibly can, and kind of enlighten guys before they go out and compete. Frankly, I just come to the clubhouse and just be Dave Parker, and it seems that people leap off of that.
I like that term, enlighten people. One of the way he enlightens people is you better have your head in a baseball game, because if you don't, Dave Parker will tell you about it. And in no uncertain terms, and it doesn't really matter who you are.
Are the A's going to miss him down the road this season?
Yes. Parker after the first pitch, Bradley in left field. A's retired on 1 pitch, and they don't deny that. There's never been any question. Sandy Alderson said we would love to have been able to keep Dave Parker, but we just could not make the payments that were going to be necessary to do so. And they said when he left, we're going to miss this guy.
If they don't win, he'll have been worth the money, though.
disappeared.
What a pair of bookends in the Milwaukee dugout now. Parker at one end and Baylor at the other. There's no place to hide if your head's not in the game.
That's right. Dave Johnson. Is he going to settle down after 2 innings of hellacious pitching? He got the great play by Craig Worthington to get him onto that bases loaded one-away situation. B.J. Surhoff towards second. Base hit. Surhoff's got a 6-game hit streak now as he delivers the single. That's 5 hits for the Brewers. And again, they've got a base runner on, one away in the third. And Johnson will look for a little help again. Johnson's numbers are holding true tonight. 69 innings pitched coming into this game and 83 hits given up. When you give up more hits than innings pitched, you generally are in a lot of trouble. Yet he has that 5-win, 3-loss record.
The Orioles can't have him and the other guys pitching this way just because they're not as good as the Blue Jays.
Rob Deere takes the strike.
The one thing Dave Johnson does not do, though, is give you a lot of free runners. He's only walked 16 men in 69 innings coming in. That puts him in the top 10 in control in all of baseball.
Because everybody's hitting him.
That's probably one reason.
He doesn't have time to walk anybody.
Opposition's got a 300 batting average against Dave Johnson thus far this season. If he did walk anybody, I mean, his ERA would be 6+. And he probably wouldn't be in the starting rotation. But it's probably the only thing that does save him. He has given up home runs, too. He's given up 11 home runs.
On the other hand, this is the best team in the majors to say, hey, here it comes. Go ahead and hit it to somebody.
They'll back you up in the field. One down, 1 strike delivery. Deere after the breaking ball. Strike 2.
And this outfield over the last year and a third has run down an enormous number of pitchers' mistakes.
Hey, great seats.
Well, Bob Uecker's at the game tonight.
Those are his tickets.
His tickets, that's right.
What a beautiful sky, though. Oh, look at that beautiful sky. Tries it again. This time it's outside, and Deere doesn't fight. That's a good pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's your comparison. 2 Brewer pitchers with Higuera coming out early with a groin pull again. Just 24 pitches.
He's having a better year than the other Davy Johnson, though. Look at it that way.
Still here, right? 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Of course, if the Mets hit the way they have the last few days, Davy Johnson could manage them from his boat in Florida.
He can play with the winds blowing out in Wrigley.
43 runs the last 3 games in Chicago.
Doesn't add them up. Got to be something like
19,
that.
15, and 9.
Yep. 2-2 delivery. Deere. Breaking ball. Foul tipped it. He stays alive. Melvin unhappy with himself. The catcher. He should have held on to that. It remains 2-2.
We'll find out a lot about the Mets this weekend in Pittsburgh. Generally, the last couple of years, they've had a series like they just had against the Cubs. And then they expect the rest of the division to roll over into the fetal position in a dead faint because they're so scared of the Mets.
Pittsburgh will have something to say about that. In fact, that's where the Mets are going.
God, the Pirates go to St. Louis and get well. That's what's happened to the Cardinals. White, it's a good thing Whitey's White here. He'd be one of those managers out of there, right?
Yeah, you got to wonder. That club's problem appeared to be bullpen, and Lee Smith's there now. Lee will give him a job. They can't straighten their starting rotation out. When they do, they don't get any offense.
And they're going through injuries yet again. Another year where their starters are injury prone. 2-2, the throw over, feeling that Surhoff may be going there.
Not only that, but now they're talking about Todd Zeile as a potential third baseman next season.
Yeah, what is...
After they let Tony Pena go.
I believe they've got another shortstop, another catcher ready to come up and play. 2-2 count. Breaking ball, took something off it, had him leaning, didn't get him, and the count is 3 balls and 2 strikes. This has been an interesting at-bat for Rob Deere. He hasn't looked particularly good on a couple of the swings, and he's leaning a lot, but Dave Johnson's still got him at the plate.
Now, here's your question. Do you start Surhoff or not? This is a strikeout batter at the plate, and Melvin is a good throwing catcher.
3-2. Runner not going. Deere, who strikes out a lot, creating that potential strike him out, throw him out double play. So Surhoff Hangs on at first base, and Deere keeps the count at 3-2. Here, Johnson's got to be wondering, what do these guys got against me? It's just a 2-0 game here, and he's given up 5 hits, but he can't get anybody out of there on less than about 8 pitches.
By the way, one of the beauties of a guy that strikes out like Deere, he hasn't grounded into a double play this year. Because he strikes out.
And that's why he's not running at first. Let's see if he goes here. 3-2. Runner not going. Major League pop-up. Ripken. And Worthington trying to get into the picture behind him just did a little somersault. Billy.
You can't let these guys know these games are on national TV.
Kell turned around, said something doing it. ESPN's baseball tonight. All kinds of highlights coming up. In-depth features, all the scores and stats. Bring you up to date on what happened in Major League Baseball today. Our electronic notebook of Major League Baseball all season long. Coming up right after the game here on ESPN. John Saunders, Bill Robinson will be there. Watch Worthington.
What in the world was he thinking about? Ripken had been there for 2 days waiting for it to come down.
And it's Ripken's call.
Plus, it would have been like running into a tree.
Oh,
okay,
well.
Craig. You had it all the way, baby.
2 down. He'll hear about that for a while. And here's Greg Brock, singled and scored in the first inning. Runner still at first base. Now there are 2 away.
We always talk about the moments of the game, and there's always about 6 beautiful moments. And folks, there may even be 6 tonight here. But there's about 6 moments when the fielders seem to vapor lock out there.
Well, Worthington's been the 2 moments of the game already.
He has. Down low, the great play to get the Orioles out of the inning in the second. And then that play, non-play at third base, Greg Worthington.
This game looks like it's being played underwater.
Well, this baby is really slow, isn't it?
And the problem is games start like this and they stay like this, generally.
Gee, that's good news.
2-0 count here with 2 outs. Tag to deep right field. Way back. Goodbye. 2-run homer, Greg Brock. And it's 4-0. I told you.
See, there you go. Now he has reaffirmed his status as a home run threat.
His second of the year.
Well, you had the feeling Dave Johnson was a man hanging by a cliff from his fingernails through 3 innings. And Brock just stepped on one of his fingers.
I mean, he really got a hold of that. There wasn't any question when it went off the bat. It is a 4-0 lead. The 6th hit for the Brewers. For Brock, his second home run, and he has 24 runs batted in. Now the bases are cleared for Greg Vaughn.
See, now I'm sorry. Now this is a 4-0 game, and even though Johnson got out of the last inning, he's in this game too long, and the game is getting away from Frank Robinson.
Tells you something about his feelings about his bullpen. Pitches outside for a ball.
That may well be, Mike, but the rest of his staff isn't giving him many innings. He'd like to see Dave give him some innings.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant because of the way Dave Johnson is pitching tonight. Plus, they're going to blow the momentum of last night's victory.
Broken bat, grounded to short. Scooped up. Looking over to Randy Milligan. That will do it, but not before the 2-run homer by Brock. Results in 2 runs, 2 hits, and a 4-0 Brew lead.
ESPN Baseball Tonight, brought to you by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be. And by Universal Pictures' Ghost Dad, starring Bill Cosby as you've never seen him before.
Milwaukee Brewers with the 4-0 lead, trying to get just their second victory of the season against the Orioles, and the crowd wondering if this thing's going to go along like this. It's not a pretty sight for the Orioles right now. Bob Melvin will be leading it off. Melvin comments again. Billy Ripken, a single in the first inning by Bradley, is the only hit for the Baltimore Orioles to this point. Joined us late. Teddy Higuera did start, but he lasted only 2 hitters. Came out as the groin muscle again, and we are assuming that's what it was pulled again, and he could only face 2 batters.
This game's an hour and 10 minutes old. If people joined us late, who cares?
And this is Mark Knudsen who's pitching. And it's fouled off. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bob Melvin getting a shot at it tonight, primarily because there was a left-hander on the mound when it started, but he's not there anymore. He certainly didn't get the start because of his numbers at home. Jammed in. Knudsen's got some pretty good pop on that fastball. He's throwing a couple of fastballs that look like they're moving a little bit.
Well, you know, this guy settled into the Brewer rotation the last 2 months of last year. Down the stretch, he was 6-2 in August and September. He pitched well.
1-2 delivery inside to Melvin.
You have 2 good innings now for the Brewers, and you've settled right into their rotation. The way things are going.
Well, obviously, Knudsen's back in. If there was any question of him going out, he's back in after Higuera limps off tonight.
And the count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Pete Vukovic will be back in soon.
Well, this is a team that started Paul Mirabella, and Paul's had a nice career as a spot pitcher in and out, but this is a guy they found in the senior league.
Yeah, well, he was with the Palm Beach Pelicans or something, wasn't he?
Yeah. You watched some of those?
No, I did not. No. I was in the neighborhood, but I did not watch.
Here's the 3-2 delivery by Knudsen, and Melvin pops it up. Foul first base side. Should be the first baseman. It is. And Brock makes the catch. Let's check in with our Baseball Tonight studio. Bill?
All right, Gary. Whitey Herzog would kill for some power, and he got some from an unlikely source. Leading off the game, bottom of the first, Vince Coleman golfs this one to right off Bob Walk. Just his 3rd dinger of the season. The last place Cards lead the first place Pirates. And I believe that was a 6-iron, Gary. A little draw on it.
He's trying to catch up with Ricky Henderson. He likes what Henderson's been doing, so he figures he's not that much bigger than I am. One away here, and Brad Comet swings at it. Talk about a story. What about Brad Comet? He's a guy he's been all over the place, starting with the Atlanta Braves, who believed he was going to be a great slugger. San Francisco this season played in 8 games, hit just 200. He was acquired as a 6-year free agent. He's now 28 years old, a lifetime batting average of just .219, and only 20 home runs. Yet, he was tagged with potential a long time ago, and it doesn't left. Good cutoff. Nice play at third base by Sheffield. Spires was not going to get that out at short. Sheffield had to come up with it, and he did. 2 down.
Sometimes with these phenoms, they do a very cruel thing and make them actually come up to the big leagues and have to live up to billing. He was going to be Dale Murphy. I mean, they thought he was going to, by now, that he was going to be into a full Dale Murphy-like career.
But here's a phenom who may be establishing himself. The player at third, Sheffield.
That's an outstanding play. And there are 2 down. Knudsen now facing Billy Ripken. Left center field. Vaughn, Yout, back at the wall. Vaughn's got it. He got a great jump on that fly ball in the gap. That was 385 feet away when he hauled it in. That's it.
This Friday on the Orioles.
Just a moment, but first of all, let's head to Philadelphia, where the Phillies and Expos are doing battle. Right fielder Ron Jones has given the Phillies a 2-0 lead. Oh, did he put a charge into that one? He aims for the Cubs side in right center. Got it. 2-run shot, 2-0 Phillies in the 5th. Let's head back to Memorial Stadium in Baltimore and rejoin Gary Thorne and company.
Well, he's setting it up for Sunday because it's the Cubs in Philadelphia playing in our Sunday night baseball game here on ESPN. That'll be coming along Sunday night at 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock baseball tonight, the hour edition. And we've got a new pitcher. Dave Johnson is gone. Joe Price is on.
33-year-old Joe Price comes in as you see the promo for the Sunday night game, Cubs and Phillies. Joe Price has been with Cincinnati, San Francisco, and Boston in the decade of the 80s. He spent the entire decade in the major leagues, a couple of stops in the minors. Signed this year by the Orioles on the 11th of January as a free agent, a spot pitcher in their bullpen. Joe Price, a fastball, big curveball, and slider pitcher, making his 20th appearance of the night. Nice strikeouts to walks ratio of a little better than 3-1.
Dave Johnson, 3 innings. 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 walk, no strikeouts, 1 home run. Greg Brock got it. He gave up 2 hits in each of the innings, gave up a run in the first, a run in the second, and 2 in the third. Not a good night for Dave Johnson. Leaves as the pitcher of record with the Orioles trailing 4-0. And the Brewers trying to add to it. First ball hitting. Center field. It's playable. Boy, we've seen some shots out there. Spires out of there as Brad Commons runs it down. Spires got a good piece of that one after he doubled his first time up.
Melvin immediately to the mound. Hank, you ought to not throw that one again for a few times. Let's go to something else.
There. Paul Molitor up now. Molitor, the leadoff batter, started this game with a single and scored the first Brewers run. He has been on base, as you see, both times up.
Boy, Oakland having to fight for their life to salvage the final game of the series from the Rangers today.
Cincinnati trying to get on track again now.
Isn't that the phenom Steve Avery start tonight for Atlanta?
Just called up. Price delivers. Molitor takes the fastball. Cutter high strike. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 down. Milwaukee leading at 4-0. This is the second game of 3 with the Orioles winning last night 4-3. 0-2. Bounce that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We've had the reversal here. Teddy Higuera, the left-hander, started for the Brewers. Face only 2 hitters. Only the right-hander Johnson starting for the Orioles. Now we get the left-hander Price. Oh, fooled him badly. Way behind on the swing. Molitor. He was guessing something else. 2 down.
Meanwhile, we've had a reversal of another kind. Joe Price likes to get the ball and throw the ball, and Mark Knutson gets the ball and throws the ball, and the pace of the game's picking up a little bit.
We got a shot at it.
I was remarking to Mr. Euchre between innings how slowly the game was going, and he told me that last night's game went 4 hours. So to shut up, this was a sprint.
Both of these teams play very long games for whatever reason.
Well, I can tell you the Orioles' reason. They have the most patient hitters in the big leagues. Orioles hitters took almost 4 pitches per at bat last year.
How do you know that?
Well, it's one of those oddball stats of teams that don't just take pitches. The Orioles will simply take pitches.
Who knows that?
Gary Cooney said he didn't go around on it. Well, they are leading the league again in walks this season.
The only offensive category that you can find any Orioles in is walks.
That's right.
The most passive of all.
And the other one is 3 games out of first place. Price gets it in, and it's 2 balls, 1 strike with 1 down, 2 down, and nobody on for Sheffield, who's taken the 0 for 2. Batting .311 as he stands in, waving that bat. Well, he's got a lot of movement on that bat on that pitch.
4 pitches per at bat. I mean, how do you know that?
For the sake of the year, they keep track of how many pitches each batter uses up before he is retired or reaches base.
How'd you like to have that job?
Yes.
2 balls.
You know, people who have that job deserve to have that job.
2-2 off the handle, Bradley and left. And there's the first 1-2-3 inning. Milwaukee retired in order. They got the lead. 4-0.
Well, for those of you who were wondering about the much ballyhooed debut of left-hander Steve Avery of the Atlanta Braves, wonder no more, and it was not pretty. 2 1/3 innings against Cincinnati, giving up 8 hits, 3 walks, 8 earned runs. He struck out 3, but the Reds scored 7 runs in the 3rd inning. They lead 9-2. Welcome to the big show, Mr. Avery.
And there was speculation when he was called up. He was not having great success in his last few starts at the minor league level. People thought it an odd time to call him up, and he was struggling there, and he continues to struggle in his major league debut.
But with Tommy Green pitching well last night and Avery here now, if you're looking for pitching, call 1-800-ATLANTA.
A lot of people have been doing that this year, but there haven't been any deals. 4-0 lead for the Brewers. Top of the order, Bill Bradley, who had the single first time up. Great to have you with us on our ESPN Wednesday night baseball game at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore on a magnificent night. Starting line about 82 degrees, beautiful skies here, very pleasant baseball evening. Off the fist to right field, that's going to be a base hit. Bradley's 2 for 2. It's not pretty, but it's where they ain't. And that's just the 2nd Oriole hit. Bradley's been on with both of them, and he gets the leadoff single here in the 4th inning.
And there ain't ever anybody there.
Watch this one. This is the fister.
This is your basic flare. Got it right down there on the pine tar.
It's a hit. Let's see if the Orioles can make something out of it now with the leadoff man on again. Here's Joe Orsolak. facing Mark Knudsen. Plenty of time to go in this game for the Orioles, who have been making a real habit of coming from behind. 8 of their last 11 wins, they've come from behind to get. So this club's not adverse being behind early and yet winning a ball game.
It's really tough not to like the Orioles. You know, Roland Heeman has done such a splendidly creative job of putting this baseball team together with care. And cheap. And not only that, but seeing things in players who had failed in other places and bringing them here. And he is one of those baseball executives who has a feel for the game still, a feel for the clubhouse, a feel of what a certain personality or a type of player might bring to a team. And that's a rare gift these days for an executive, I think.
2-0 count. Orsulak looking for one to left field, but it's playable for Greg Vaughn. We'll set the fans down as Orsulak's retired. Bradley will go back to first base. One away in the Orioles half of the 4th inning.
Well, you know, in baseball, Mike, to pick up on what you were talking about, so often you hear people criticize a player saying, can't do this, can't do this, he can't do that. Heeman and a few like him look at players and say, but he can do this.
That's exactly right.
And then, as Mike said, what you have to do is be able to fit those kind of people together so that it makes a team.
Hey, the White Sox are an organization that got rid of Roland Heeman and Tony La Russa, and they're still doing okay.
Runner goes. Milligan takes it. Throw down by Surhoff is there. Not quite. Ball rolls away. Bradley will be credited with the stolen base. So the Orioles just trying to generate some offense. He gets in scoring position with his 7th stolen base.
You know, we talk all the time about this general man. You know, a lot of talk this year about the Mets letting this player or that player go away. How about a couple of owners that let Roland Heeman and Tony La Russa get away?
Yes.
So they're not going to win the world's smartest men contest.
Meanwhile, here's a move that would have been considered absolutely anathema by the book 10 years ago. This is how baseball changed. Down 4, managers will run.
Orioles just trying to generate. They've got Randy Milligan up. Milligan, who had 6 consecutive extra base hits, including 4 home runs and 2 doubles, ended that in his first at-bat when he hit into a double play.
Running there just gives managers something to do sometimes. Hi, I'm still here. Aren't I daring?
In many cases, though, you know that the manager doesn't even make a call anymore. They give the green light to so many players nowadays that virtually any base runner who has any speed is on his own to steal when they believe they can. I don't know if Bradley's in that category.
Randy Milligan is an example of a guy who was just buried in one team system and got a chance somewhere else. I mean, he just was going nowhere at first base with the New York Mets with Keith Hernandez there in his prime at the time and Dave Magadan coming up behind Keith Hernandez.
Here he is, turned into a quality first baseman. 3-0 the count he's taking, and Knudsen was not going to mess around with Randy Milligan. He's on now. That doesn't mean you want to put him on, but he wasn't going to give him anything good to hit. First walk by Knudsen.
Add one other plus to the Milligan thing, and that's the work that Tom McCraw, the batting coach for Baltimore, has done with it.
That'll bring up Tettleton. They confer at the mound. Talking about the walks. There they are. Those are the leaders. And Randy Milligan's at the top. Behind Wade Boggs, who generally is at the top when the season's done.
By the way, those are also the top 5 in the major leagues. Von Hayes leads the National with 40.
Pitchers throw strikes in that league.
I knew you'd have some.
4-0 Milwaukee lead here. Here's Tettleton, who struck out his first time up.
By the way, if we'd have gone another one down that list, Cal Ripken's at 38.
2 on. Tettleton takes it up high, and Knudsen's fighting the strike zone.
See, this is something Milwaukee desperately needs Knudsen to be a starter tonight. That is, to pitch them starters innings. They don't want to have to come out and get him.
They're going to come out and talk to him. See the numbers. Haney, the pitching coach, out just to have a word here. Try and settle him down and get him out of one rhythm and into another. The bullpen for the Brewers has been very ineffective. And right now they're just sitting around watching. Tom Trevelhorn said before the game, he said the one thing my bullpen does consistently is give up runs. That's about it.
Well, Golly, there's a ringing endorsement.
So he says, he was asked whether or not he feels he's got anybody out there who's having a good season in the bullpen, and that was his answer.
He didn't get into that chainsaw thing in his butt there, did he? That was later on?
That was earlier.
The hell wordsmith.
His all-star closer's got an ERA that's roughly the same as the height of Spud Webb. That is not good.
Not a good pen. 1-0 the count, 1 away, 2 on. Chance for Baltimore to get right back in it here in the 4th inning. Knutson. And that's how Tettleton was going to put him back in it. Long ball swing. But he didn't get it.
Mickey Tettleton's a character. The Fruit Loops thing is well documented. The Dick Tracy thing now. He's worn Dick Tracy T-shirts.
You know, it doesn't take much to be a character if you can do it with Fruit Loops and a Dick Tracy T-shirt.
It's called marketing oneself. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Knutson. Good, strong pitch in the inside corner. 1-2.
In 86, he lands on the disabled list with a foot infection. The doctor told him he suspected it was because he tied his shoelaces too tight. I'd not heard that. Beautiful pitch, though, like that. It's good run.
Stop it, Tettleton. You're killing me. You wacky guy.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And timeout taken by Tettleton at the plate. Just wasn't ready. Good stick for Tettleton of late. His batting average on the season, 244. So you see the tough start that he had. He really got off to a poor start at the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, 2 on. Baltimore trailing 4-0. Knutson. I always wondered about pitchers like Knutson. You watch him when he goes into this delivery, when he's working out of the stretch. He's one of those pitchers who holds the glove and ball high and away from the body. And in the day and age of the calls on the balk, that is a difficult position to hold while you're checking base runners.
It seems like it would lock you up.
Yeah, it does seem like you freeze a little bit at that position. Also, it seemed to make your motion a little bit longer to the plate.
He's got that way out in front of the body. Tettleton takes it outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. But you see a lot of pitchers using that, Dave, rather than coming down to the belt. Most pitchers, of course, used to come straight down to the belt and have the glove on the body. See, he never brings it down. It's always out in front of him. So he's using muscular activity to hold that glove and ball up. Muscular activity, Mr. Lupica. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, 2 on. Tettleton waiting, and it's 3-2.
He's about to deliver a ball to the plate. What other kind of activity would there be besides muscular activity?
A lot less if you just hold that glove down in the belt.
Boy, you said some unusual things. Well, I mean, I say some unusual things, but you're supposed to be driving it for us.
Waiting on deck, Worthington. 3-2, 1 out. Infield double play depth, outfield straight away. Tettleton. Another quality at bat here as he's made Knutson work. 3-2, runners go. The bases are loaded.
You know, as hard as it is to believe, with the way the Orioles have struggled and staggered and hung in, they could easily be down 7 runs at this point, and Worthington not made the big play. This is the tying run in the game.
Well, they're right in it. They are right in this game, and because they've had so many comeback games, when you get those under your belt early in the season, you just believe in yourself. You know you've done it before, so you believe you can do it again.
Some of the guys are saying they're playing hard again, that they were such the darlings last season, that they came in and there was sort of an attitude around here early in the season was, you know, aren't we adorable and aren't we wonderful? And Ellie Hendricks was saying before the game that they're starting to play hard again. And there was some of that magic of last season, last night.
He's never had a salami, a grand slam. He's got the bases loaded. Knutson. Strike 1.
And Milwaukee, with the last thing that Horne really wanted to do tonight, has more action in the bullpen.
Paul Marabella's up and throwing.
And the right-hander is Edens.
How excited were senior league pitchers when Mirabella got a start?
That's right.
He ran right out to the backyard, instead throwing at the side of the garage.
Bases loaded, one away. Worthington takes it down low. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the fans, who had to sit very quietly for the first 3 innings because nothing was happening, suddenly are back into the game. There's the Brewers' pen. The Orioles still have but 2 hits. Bradley with 2 singles, with back-to-back walks here in the 4th by Knutson. Now loaded him up. 1-1. Worthington pucks it up. No play. Back into the seats, and the count is 1-2.
All those 38-year-old pitchers saying, you know, I feel pretty good, honey. Want to go out in the backyard for a little catch? I mean, I was so surprised to see Paul Mirabella's name.
Well, that tells you something about the lack of.
I thought it was Bob or Hank Mirabella.
Nope.
Left-handed pitchers, boy, they just never get out of work.
And bounce around for a long time. You're the southpaw. You can just get a couple of outs in a game. It's enough to get you a contract. Knutson, he's got a chance. Up on the count here, 1-2. Right-hander's delivery. Right field, it's going to be a base hit. Just their 3rd single. 1 run will come in. They'll do it station to station. It's a 4-1 game. Bradley scores the first Orioles run. And Worthington, who had gone just 1 for his last 12, delivers the RBI, his 22nd.
And here's a chance for Cal Ripken Jr. to get well right now.
Boy, Knutson just throws a fat one letter high right out over the plate.
Bradley scores. They move him up. Milligan's at 3rd. Peddlin's at 2nd. Worthington at 1st. Bradley. 2 hits and a run scored now. And it's 4-1. And the Orioles still with just 1 away. Have Cal Ripken up. He's heard a lot of boos lately in this yard. Deep, but curving foul. Whoa. Upper deck, just outside the foul pole by about 8 feet.
Now, let me ask you something, Mike. Remember we talked about Frank Robinson feeling the game slipping away from him earlier? Could Tom Treblehorn be waiting on Knutson, and by the time he gets to the mound, could the lead be gone?
Well, I think he had that sinking feeling as Ripken hit that ball. But like they say in golf, you can't talk to a hook.
Look at him. He knew it was gone if it was fair, but the fans in the first row up there in the upper deck right there have a souvenir. 1 strike count on Ripken. Towards the middle. This could be 2. There's 1. The Brewers get out of the inning. Fires to Molitor, to Brock, and only 1 run scores, and the boos are heard again by Cal Ripken.
ESPN Baseball Tonight, brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer. And by Lennox. When it comes to quality in heating and cooling, must be a Lennox.
Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Wednesday night baseball here on ESPN with the Brewers leading it by a score of 4-1. Gary Thorne, Norm Hitzges, and Mike Lupica with you. And happy to have you on board here, wherever you may be tonight. Robin Yount, first ball hitting. Oh, my gosh. Worthington, can he do it again? Yes, he can. 2 magnificent plays at 3rd base by Craig Worthington. He's also showed us he can do a somersault. 1 to the left, 1 to the right.
Designated hitter, Dave Parker.
Doesn't get any better than this. This guy made 20 errors last year, and yet you ask the Orioles, and they'll tell you this is one of the finest fielders they feel in the game of baseball.
They got another third baseman who can work this room.
That's twice now for Robin Yount. He had the bases loaded in the second inning and drilled one on the shortstop side and was robbed. Parker swings and misses strike one. So Yount has been robbed of 2 hits by Worthington at third base, 1 each way.
Talk about guys trying to get well. Robin Yount's well. He's 3 for 3 except for Worthington.
That's what happens when you're not going right. You don't get those. 1 down for Dave Parker, who picked up an RBI with that sacrifice fly he had, batting .320.
I like
35 runs batted in.
I like Joe Price. He's got 10:30 dinner reservation. That boy Joe, throw it.
Parker reaching against the left-hander to shallow center field. Thomas is there and hauls it in. There are 2 down here in the 5th inning. Let's check in our Baseball Tonight studios, Bill.
All right, Gary, the Tigers and Indians continue to go back and forth in Detroit. 1 out, bottom of the 5th. Sweet Lou Whitaker sends this one deep away back. This will find the upper deck. Number 9 for Whitaker, a 2-run shot off John Farrell. Brand new game. It's 4-4. Let's go back to Baltimore.
2 ball clubs who are trying to generate some interest in their respective cities, Cleveland and Detroit. Both of whom have made spurts at it this season. Right now, the Tigers are the better of it consistently. 2 down here. That one to left field towards the corner. Chase down. Bradley can't get it off the end of the glove. Surhoff is on his way to second base. And that will be a 2-base hit. Surhoff's 2 for 3 with a single and a double. Bradley running out of room in that corner.
You're about to see something unusual for the Baltimore Orioles. Their outfield has tracked down a remarkable number of fly balls over the last couple of years. The fans, in fact, gasped when Bradley didn't catch this ball. They've seen so many catches like this.
You get a little scared when you're running full tilt in the corners here because there literally is no room. You get over there in that corner and you're right up against the wall. Not an excuse, but just a fact. And you're going hard.
You know, I didn't think he was going full tilt. I thought he had that ball tracked. And I think he thought he had that ball tracked, and then it just sort of went away from him.
A little tail on it that he wasn't prepared for. You may be right about that, because it did look that way.
Remember now, Bradley was accomplished at turning the corner as an option quarterback in the Big 8.
Well, it was at Missouri, so not that, not that accomplished.
Think of the corners he tried to turn.
Oh, I did not say that. That was Mike Lupica.
Well, I mean,
you folks in the Show Me State.
When have they beaten anybody? I mean, the facts are facts.
I'm trying to bail you out here. Intentional walk to Deere. That puts runners on at first and second to set up the 4th play with 2 down, and didn't want to deal with Deere, and he'll face Brock, who had the home run.
No, I mean, they're okay in basketball, but they change coaches about every 2 seasons, and they don't beat anybody. So next case.
That's a couple more places we can't take him. Kansas City and St. Louis.
I'm not. You done talking about this?
I'm done.
Actually, I'm not. But
I like the kid. I thought he was a good quarterback, and I thought it took some courage at Missouri to go right and left against Oklahoma and Nebraska.
Greg Brock with 2 on, and it's in for the strike. Brock delivered a single in the 2nd, and the home run in the 3rd is 2nd of the year. He's picked up 2 RBIs, scored 2 runs, and is 2 for 2.
Well, you can go there if you don't want to win.
Oh, gosh. 0-1 count. Two down here, and you saw the numbers Brock has against the left-handers. That's why the intentional pass was given to Deere. Although Brock last season hit .333 against left-handers. Limited at bat, but they were up to 90. It's not bad for a guy who doesn't face lefties regularly. If you're looking for Mike Lupica's home phone number, by the way, we will have that up on the screen for you in Missouri only.
Think about this. I mean,
I don't want to think about this.
What's their recruiting pitch there? The Orange Bowl's not that big a deal?
Missouri's a quality school with good athletic programs.
And wonderful journalism.
Sure, they all play football.
Oh, 1-1. Had him tied up. He thought that was in there. Let it go 2-1.
You know, that's a very good point because they play football like a lot of sports writers.
I like Missouri.
You know, you try to wiggle him out of it. You try to give him some ease out.
He's so far in the hole right now, I can't even see him.
Why don't we go back to Brock versus
2-1 count, 2 on and 2 down. 4-1 Milwaukee lead. Brewers up the middle. Hello. Look what I found. That was not a Baltimore chop. Brock is retired as Price found the ball in his glove and assumed it was the one off the bat. Milwaukee with a 4-1 lead. The opportunity to add to it in that last inning. They leave a couple on. The Brewers have now left 6 on in the game. Orioles have stranded only 2. The Orioles have only 3 hits. Teddy Higuera lasted just a third of an inning, giving up 1 hit. The groin bothered him, came out after 2 batters. Mark Knudsen on in relief. And Knudsen getting out of the 4th inning with that ground ball double play hit into by Cal Ripken to end the inning. Now faces Bob Melvin, the catcher, who takes the first pitch down low. Ball 1. Melvin appearing in his 38th game this season. Swung on and hit the right center field. Deere is there and runs it in. Melvin's retired, 1 away in the 5th inning. Let's check in on baseball tonight.
All right, Gary, thank you. As if the Yankees need any more bad news, here it is. Right-hander Pascual Perez, whom they picked up as a free agent in the offseason, will have surgery performed on his right shoulder. He will likely miss the rest of the season. The Yankees' woes continue tonight at home in the Bronx against the Boston Red Sox. Tim Leary and the Yankees trailing Roger Clemens and the Red Sox 2-1 in the 7th. Let's head back to Baltimore.
Well, there aren't many bright lights at Yankee Stadium, right?
Is it true that Perez is now saying he pitched a couple of games late last season with a bad shoulder and didn't tell anybody?
Yep.
Oh, happy days.
Base is empty. 1 down. Brad Comets takes it for a strike.
Obviously, they gave him $2 million a season. He held his arm up. He said, feels great now. And showed up late in spring training, rushed himself. And now he's out for the year. Very sad thing, because he really was exciting in those 3 starts.
1 more.
Meanwhile,
Inside, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Meanwhile, poor Tim Leary. We've seen Tim Leary a couple times already. Same thing's happening to him again tonight, isn't it? Pitch well, don't get any runs.
Their most effective pitcher, and
Yep.
he's not getting any wins.
Yeah, he's not pitching well enough.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Knudsen's pitch is hit towards the hole. That's going to be a base hit. So Comets is on. Comets gets a 1-out single here in the 5th inning. That's the 4th hit for the Baltimore Orioles. And we'll bring up Billy Ripken. Look at Price. This is the last out of the last inning. Right place, right time, you think?
That's the Columbus method of defense. Stick your glove out and discover it.
That ball was hit hard. That was hit hard. That could have easily been up the middle, and if he had been a right-handed pitcher, he never would have had it. But he wasn't, and he did, and it wasn't.
Orioles just keep hanging around in this game, don't they?
4-1 game. Runner at first base, and Billy Ripken, well, he had him back at short and third. He's running for a base hit here, not for the sacrifice. Who would have expected that, ever?
Yeah, you never really would expect the Cal to slip down to the dugout and ask for hitting tips from Billy, would you?
Sorry, look out Chris Gwynn next.
Where's Chris Gwynn?
Huh?
Chris Gwynn going to overtake Tony? Taken down low. 2 balls, no strikes.
Here we have the Oriole hitting theory again, though. The last couple innings, here it is again. The Orioles just go up there and take pitches. Milligan took, Tettleton took, Ripken's taking. This club takes a lot of pitches.
And the 2 walks in the 4th inning set up the run they scored because they only had 2 singles in the inning. Billy Ripken with a 2-0 count. Runner at first. Oh, he tried to muscle that ball. Surhoff coming back for it, will not have a play on the screen. 2 balls and 1 strike. Billy Ripken figuring he was going to get pitch to hit right there, and he did.
This stadium has the world's oldest ball boy. How old is that gentleman that gathers the foul balls off the screen?
I don't know the answer to that, but he has been here a long, long time. Sits right down there behind the screen.
He's rubbing the grease off.
Putting some on. That's the only ball boy who throws a spitter.
Get that KY jelly rubbed off there.
He looked very, very suspicious to me.
That ball be back in play.
Yeah. Yeah, you trust him? I don't.
2-1 count with 1 away. got a hold of that one to left field, but just a little bit under it. And Thorne is there to put it away. And there are 2 down, and Comins will go back to first.
That guy keeps his job because he's a dirty cheat.
See what he does? The ball boy loads it up and gives it back to the umpire when the Orioles go back out on the field.
Are you joining him now in this tirade against the world and decent people? That man, that face is as honest as the day is long.
Okay. Excuse me, here's Mr. Football up again.
I love Missouri. Bill Bradley. A very good night.
In baseball.
Comins back at first, diving back in.
This is another spot for Robinson to possibly run. He's down 3, but it's only the 5th. 2 outs. If you get thrown out, Bradley, your leadoff hitter, leads off the next inning for you.
Pretty good lead at first. Not going on a breaking ball. Misses down low. Bradley's upped his average now to 269. The 2 hits tonight, making 9 for his last 18. They have been up in the pen before. They are up again. 1-0 the count, but there are 2 down. Knudsen. Comins back.
Bradley's had a wrist problem that's really bothered him. It's kept him from really turning on the ball and driving the ball. He's become a singles hitter.
Runner goes. Surhoff had trouble getting it out of the mitt, throws it into center field, right into the runner, but not going anywhere. As Robin Yount backs it up, it'll be a stolen base for Brad Comins. Not much could be done with the throw. Ended up being in the runner. And for Comins, that is going to be his first stolen base. He's 1 for 2. Watch Surhoff. He couldn't get it out of the glove. He had to double clutch. If he doesn't double clutch, he might have had it.
Yeah, the throw is there about the same time the runner arrives.
Well, the double clutching cost him that split second. Comins at second base now. The Orioles really having to do it the hard way here tonight. They haven't got it done, but just trying to get it done has been the hard way. 1 base at a time. Singles, stolen bases, move them up. See if Bradley can deliver again. Takes the strike, 2-1. Bradley shaking his head no, didn't think it was there. It's a lot better than he did last season. The runners in scoring position last year, he ended up at 244. Two-1. 3-1.
Here's another guy who spent a lot of what would have been spring training in a lockout room negotiating.
Never going to hear the end of the spring training that wasn't. There are some who still say it has affected players, particularly pitchers, with a number of injuries we've seen. That people like Bob Gibson say that's foolishness. 3-1. Down low. And their runner's 2 on now.
I'm still waiting to hear the first person that can explain to me the logic of it all. What was the issue? I never figured out the issue. I don't think there was one.
Of the
lockout.
Well, I think the issue is busting the union.
Yeah, I think this was a case of being contrary to be contrary.
Oh, no. These guys have been trying to bust the union, meaning the owners, for a long time. They come in with the most radical proposal for revenue sharing. They want to change the game at a time when this sport was more lucrative than it's ever been. And then they say, gee, we don't know what the players are unhappy about. These guys have done everything they can across the 1980s to try to bust that union. It's not going to get busted. It's as strong as any union in sports, and they found out again.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying that I don't think the owners ever convinced everybody out there they had any kind of an issue on which to base this.
Well, it's come and gone.
Yep.
Let the remnants of it remain.
Meanwhile, here we are with the tying run again for the second inning in a row.
Looking for that one big hit. And Joe Orsolak, left-handed hitter, up at the right time here against Mark Knudsen. Runners on at first and second. Taking the old freeze. Had just a couple of hits in his last 16 at-bats. This one is towards right field in the corner. Deere has it. Rob Deere pulls it in, and again the Orioles unable to get it, but they were mighty close. A couple more left on base, still 4-1.
Second, but first of all, let's head to the Astrodome in Houston, where Mike Scott of the Astros has been staked to a 3-0 lead thanks to this fella, Glenn Davis. His 19th of the year, away back and gone, a 3-run shot off Tim Belcher. The Astros lead the Dodgers 3-zip in the fifth. Let's head back to Baltimore.
And we are 4-1 here in Baltimore as the Brewers taking the lead early. A run in the first, one in the second, two in the third. Home run by Brock, accounting for 2 of the runs. Greg Vaughn been on base once, and he was hit by a pitch. Takes on the left-hander, fouls it off. Vaughn, ooh, that hurt. The ball girl got that one right on the shin.
She has yet to field one cleanly this evening.
Rub some dirt on it.
You are really...
No, I mean, come on. Just let's play hurt and let's move forward.
Man, oh, man.
Harsh.
One strike joke. Don't worry, folks. We're going to give you a chance. There's a strike call, and it's quickly 0-2. Vaughn backing up. This was the American Association Player of the Year last year. He finished up batting .276 at Denver, AAA. 26 home runs and 92 RBIs. He had some good power numbers. He's 24 years old. Inside to him, just back him off a little, 1-2.
In fact, the last 3 years the minor leagues, he's climbed their ladder. Greg Vaughn's had the eye-popping stat, 29 homers and 101 runs batted in a year. That's sensational minor league numbers.
They're hoping he turns out to be the player that Glenn Bragg, who they just traded to Cincinnati, never really became.
Swung on and missed. He got it. Put that one on the outside corner, and Price gets the strikeout. And there's one away here in the 6th inning. Don't forget, on Sunday night here on ESPN, Chicago and Philadelphia. That'll be coming along at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Lenny Dykstra trying to hold close to that 400 mark. 392 going into tonight's game. Bills trailing Pittsburgh, but they're in the chase, and the Cubs, they're trying to get back into that race in the Eastern Division. They were throttled by the Mets, though. They've lost the doubleheader today and the one yesterday.
And they've lost Mitch Williams 6 to 8 weeks with a knee problem. Suffered.
Tripped over the bag.
First base the other day.
Went over the bag.
Billy Squires taking the pitch outside with one away.
Meanwhile, Baltimore's missed some opportunities to get back in this game, but should they ever get back in it, do not underestimate what Joe Price has done for the Orioles. He stabilized the game. He skated them through the middle innings.
So far, he's got it done, and he ties up Squires. 2 strikes.
It's 2-1 still. If Robinson had brought him into the game when he should have brought him into the game.
And if Worthington hasn't made his plays, it's 6-1.
You know, that's one of those things. This game could really end 4-1, and you could go back and change a couple of pitches and make this either an 8-1 game or a Baltimore win.
Just missed outside.
I'll tell you what, the biggest thing that has happened in this game was Cal Ripken's ball going foul.
Yeah.
With the bases loaded.
Upper deck, chance for the grand slam. Just missed by about 8 seats in that upper deck. What makes baseball the game of inches?
The wonderful thing about this sport, a foul ball can be everything.
4-1, Milwaukee leading it here. 1 ball, 2 strike count, 1 away. Thank you for the candy bar, Michael. Fouled off. I saw those out in the press room. Was that for a group or something? Did you have to buy it, or are they giving them away?
Buy it?
You're supposed to buy it.
What a silly... Yeah, this is supposed to... It's a donation for somebody in the press box's kid for a band outing or something.
Well, fine. I'll go back and leave my credit card.
You just took the candy bar and never paid anybody. That figures. 1-2. Swung on, hit the right field down the line. This could be trouble in the corner, or Select is there and hauls it in, and there are 2 down. And you people in Missouri, you stand by, because we're going to give you a chance when we come back. Right now, Bill, what's going on?
Oh, Gary, here's something you don't see every day. A switch hitter, Bobby Bonilla, not switch hitting. He's hitting lefty against the lefty, John Tudor, and it pays off for him. His 15th homer. The Pirates now lead 3-2 in the 4th. He says he doesn't hit Tudor well right-handed, so he did it lefty. Why not? Back to Baltimore.
Hey, you gotta like that.
How great is that?
That's incredible. Gets the home run batting left-handed. 2 down here, nobody on it. Jimmy Leland would let him do it. And it worked. Here's Paul Molitor, 2 down, bases empty.
I got a feeling Jimmy Leland will let you do almost anything that you ask him.
As long as you want to win. Mahler takes the strike. Molitor batting at 283. Fooled him that time. I think he was looking breaking ball. Pretty good fastball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Joe Price. Right field again. Busy night. Orsolak finds the warning track. Had plenty of room as it was, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. Price getting the job done. Nobody left on in this one. It's still 4-1. Juan Nieves in the history books for the Milwaukee Brewers. The only no-hitter in their history. Eddie Murray hit the final ball that was caught by Robin Yount, April 15, 1987. There's Robin Yount, who's still out there in center field making those kind of catches, but Juan Nieves, that's a different story. Milwaukee leading this one by a score of 4-1.
Juan now at Beloit, trying to work his way back.
And Randy Milligan takes the pitch down low, ball 1. Milligan, Kettleton, and Worthington up.
2 teams with bullpens that ought to be condemned are getting great relief pitching performances tonight.
Milligan, that's a fair ball. That'll be an extra base hit, rolling over off that fence facade. He's going down to second base. And the extra base kid's at it again. Randy Milligan leading off the 6th inning with a double.
What is that, 7 now? His last 7 hits are all for extra bases?
That's right, hits. But he had 6 in a row coming into this game. And 6 at-bats. Unbelievable. Got another one.
And you know, the book on Milligan is he hits the ball up the middle or right center. No wonder Sheffield wasn't close to the line. Randy Milligan never hits the ball down that area, but when you're hot, you hit everything.
He right now is hot. And here go the Orioles yet one more time. Are they going to get the big inning?
Well, they got to get closer. Even if they don't get the big inning, they got to get Milligan in. Get this down to a 2-run game.
They're working at it. Nobody out. Milligan with a leadoff double against Knudsen. He's given up 4 hits. That one tagged to left center field. Good wood on that one by Kettler, but not far enough. It'll be hauled in. Tagging up Milligan. He'll move over as Yount had the long throw to him. So Randy Milligan doing what the Orioles have done all night, and that's eat dirt and get an extra base. Kettleton's out of there. 1 away, but Milligan's at third as Yount tracked it down.
Tell you what, Milligan tags up and heads for third. And look at him fixing the trench at third base now. The umpire, Vic Voltaggio and Sheffield, all trying to fill in Milligan's trench that he dug with his head first slide. Take a look at this. Now, this is a big man tearing down for, look at this trench.
No, this is good. This is how you make sand traps on golf courses.
He's got a pound of sand. You know where. He picked that up with his belt buckle and just hauled it in like a front loader.
But you're right. That's the trait of this club, isn't it?
That's how they win ball games. When you're batting as a team 243, which is next to last in the American League, you got to do something. Worthington. What? They got the switch on you. They're going to appeal at second base. You did not leave too soon. First base umpire actually makes that call, Terry Cooney. Second base umpire Brinkman has gone back to cover the fly ball.
They looked around at the second base umpire. The guy at second today. I wasn't even here, pal. I was out in the outfield. You can look over to him.
Joe Brinkman was tracking the fly ball. Terry Cooney had it covered from first. All right, Milligan's on at third base, and appropriately so, with 1 out. Worthington. Oh, boy, what a swing that wasn't.
I think the implication of that appeal was Randy Milligan can't make it. I think that was very insulting to Milligan.
I think Robin Yount asked for that in center field. I don't know what that pitch was, but boy, did that fool Worthington. That
you know who you get
kind of watch the swing. This is a
you know who you get foul balls like this against? Charlie Huff and Tom Candiotti.
They used to get him against like Mike Cuellar. I was going to say it was a cantaloupe.
That's what that was. 4-1 Milwaukee leading in the bottom of the 6th inning. Brewers trying to hold on to it. It's foul tipped by Worthington, and it's an 0-2 count. Worthington with an RBI single. That came in the 4th. Looking for another one.
Cuellar won a lot of games here throwing bad fruit up to the plate.
Cuellar was amazing. One of the world's all-time most superstitious people. Incredible superstitions. He had all of them.
Throw the ball across the plate. And get it done. Knudsen, 2-strike pitch. He got him. And not a happy Craig Worthington. Umpire Tim Cheetah's going to go clean off home plate just to get out of his way and let Worthington leave without having to leave the game. That's a nice move. I like that. Cheetah was not going to challenge Worthington. You watch what Cheetah does, the home plate umpire, right? He knows he's not happy with the call. He goes around the catcher the other way. You watch. He's not going to challenge him. He's going to get out of his way. Let him back off. He goes the other side of the catcher. Going to come to the front of the plate. Just let him go. Good reaction.
Very rare for an umpire this season, by the way.
But very professional.
Very professional. Not going to challenge him. Let him blow up some steam. Just move away. Keep him in the game. So again, they call upon Ripken. Moved into that number 6 spot. He came up in the 4th inning and hit into a double play to end the inning.
You have to start to wonder whether at some point Cal Ripken Jr. is going to have to move off the shortstop, because I think it's really wearing him down.
Has a bad back.
Mike, here's my question. People say he should rest every once in a while. What's the matter with resting him at DH like a lot of other guys? What's the matter with DHing this guy 15 times a year?
I don't have any idea, but the way he's going, it's just not working. He's hit .229 since last year's All-Star break.
1-1. Grounded towards second base. And again, that upright stance just does not allow him to get much on the ball. And again, Cal Ripken hears boos in his home park. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball and the people in that room at the Sky Dome, where we will be next week for the Boston Red Sox Toronto Blue Jays. We were talking about Jose Bautista, who's come on in relief. We actually weren't talking about him at all, but there are his numbers. We're going to rush Bautista right along because we want to get in the numbers on Ripken. We haven't had a chance to do it, but it's important. Mike was talking about Cal Ripken at shortstop and is playing there every day, hurting him with that bad back he's got. He has now moved into second place. He passed Everett Scott this year.
Well, he's 1,000 games more than anybody else's consecutive games. And it's a noble thing in this day and age that Cal Ripken has this kind of work ethic. I just wonder, at what point do you say, maybe it's counterproductive? I don't see why you couldn't DH him, except the way he's hitting. He's not hitting well enough to be a DH right now. But he looks like he looked tired, he looked exhausted at the plate at the end of last year. He has picked right up this year. Everybody dismisses it here. They say he's not coming out of the lineup. And I wonder, he's 29 years old at this point, okay? But in Ripken years, he's playing like he's 34 or 35.
Well, from 82 to 86, Cal Ripken was a .290 hitter. From 87 to the present, he is a .246 hitter. Pretty good range, will hit with a little power, but the bare truth is this is a little bit better than an average Major League player the last 4 years.
It is a problem for the Orioles right now. Gary Sheffield at the plate. It is a problem what to do with it. You cannot take him out of there and deny him the opportunity to catch Garrett's record, I guess. That's fouled off by Sheffield to get around on it. But on the other hand, how long do you stay with a guy who looks like he's tiring at the end of the season?
This is a guy who in the good years, and they were terrific years, was routinely discussed as a future Hall of Famer. And I'm frankly not so sure anymore.
We're talking about a really good player here, a guy who wants to work real hard to win.
Sheffield, great bunt down to third. Worthington, no play, and Sheffield is on. So Sheffield continues his hit streak to 6 games, leading off the 7th inning with a bunt single on Worthington, who he caught back. 8 hits for the Brewers, and the leadoff man is on.
You can't roll it down there better than this. You really couldn't. You couldn't stand at home plate and roll the ball better than that with your hand.
Can't do that on the artificial carpet, but on this beautiful grass field, just sits right there for you.
The ballpark that's going up in downtown Baltimore will have grass.
Yay.
Yes.
I went and looked at it today. You know the song, there used to be a ballpark. Well, there's going to be a ballpark, and it was a great choice to put it downtown.
Robin Yount is up. New ballpark next year for the White Sox. New Comiskey Park right across the street from the old one, and I cannot wait for next spring when two ballparks will exist side by side. That has never happened in Major League Baseball before. The old and the new directly across the street, and they will be there for a time before they tear down the old Comiskey Park. They will be standing there side by side.
You know, they discovered here in Baltimore that Babe Ruth's old man ran a tavern about where short center field is in Camden Yards. Yeah.
I can't believe you found that out.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like it was a Woodward and Bernstein deal finding that out. I mean, everybody here knows it, but I didn't think everybody, for example, in Missouri would know that.
Oh, here he goes. We're going to put your telephone number up and keep it up, just for the folks from Missouri. Sheffield on at first base, and Bautista obviously concerned that he may be taking off. He's not. Pitch is outside. Ball one to out.
This kid Bautista's 25 years old. He signed with the Mets when he wasn't old enough to grow a beard, basically. 1981, he signed with the Mets at age 16 and hung out in their minor league system 7 years. He's got a wonderful arm. Everybody raves about his arm. They say, one of these days, the light's going to come on, and this guy's going to be terrific.
One of the reasons he's here is that Al Jackson, the pitching coach of the Baltimore Orioles, was the pitching coach for the New York Mets in their minor league system when Bautista came along. And Jackson, also one of those, was very high on the arm of this 25-year-old right-hander. So he has a chance to work with him. And there's a giddy-up fastball. Robin Yount after it. 1 ball, 1 strike. 185 MPH on this one.
Sorry, that looked faster than that to me.
Yount, too.
Also rode in nicely.
Yeah.
Some movement on it.
Somebody banged that gun on the side.
Maybe that's the slow gun.
Boy, is that another stupid part of this game, the radar gun.
I wish they had a movement gun.
Yeah, you find most baseball people now, and I'm talking about the scouts who have it in stands and such, say all they're doing on the gun is checking to see whether or not a guy's velocity at the beginning is the same towards the end.
Now, there's another great job, radar gun operator.
1-1. Outside corner fastball, 1-2.
It's like the guy who decides how many pitches a guy gets every time up.
Right up there with the pitch count, isn't it?
Yeah, but you get some great notes. You know, you didn't think it was possible to throw a 48-mile-an-hour pitch to the plate like Tom Candiotti, but the radar gun proves you can. You can get it all the way, the whole 60 feet, 6 inches at 48 miles an hour.
More impressively, get it across the plate.
This game's getting choked with numbers.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Bautista. That's going to be a base hit. Hit hard by Robin Yount. The turn at second base and holding is Sheffield. No, he deked it. The throw, Worthington got him. He's out of there. Worthington puts the tag on. Phil Bradley made the throw. Sheffield tried to deke Bradley. He came around second, stopped. Hoped to catch Bradley not looking anymore, then fired up the Jets again, but couldn't do it.
First of all, Yount must be pleased as punch to get something past Worthington in this game. He's stopped him twice already. And here's the stop. Oh, then he turns it on, and Bradley, to his credit, digs right up, makes a good throw.
You have to like all aspects of that play. You know, it's a good time for Sheffield to take a chance. I like the deke. And Bradley makes the play.
Major League Baseball right there. Phil Bradley makes the throw, gets the out. Down to second on the throw is Yount for Parker with 1 away. And a 4-1 lead for the Brewers. They've been able to hang on to it here, getting the runs early. Dave Johnson, 3 innings, 4 runs, 6 hits. The starter for the Orioles, the pitcher of record. Gave up a 2-run homer to Brock in the 3rd after surrendering an RBI double to Billy Spires in the 2nd inning and a sacrifice fly by Parker in the 1st for the other run batted in. Cobras got 35 RBI. Nasty pitch by Bautista, ate him up inside.
Mets had so much pitching, and we've seen a lot of it get sent away in deals, in particular the Viola deal, that they couldn't protect Bautista after the 87 season. So the Orioles, remember what a wretched 88 the Orioles had? Well, one of the beauties of 88 was they could keep Bautista on the roster all year long, so he became their property.
Did he go? Yes, he did. Home plate umpire making the call himself that time. Tim Cheetah saying, I don't need any help. And it's 1-2. You saw the sledgehammer Dave Parker made famous along the way in Pittsburgh. He used to use it in the on-deck circle that he swings around to loosen up with. That's the Intimidator right there. He's brought it back here in Milwaukee. He could loosen up with a sledgehammer. That's going to feel like a toothpick in his hands when he gets done with that thing. 1-2. Big Dave, right field, look out, say goodbye to home run. And Dave Parker goes 80 feet out of his way to make the big turn. Real time is tried. A 2-run homer, and it's 6-1 Milwaukee.
15 seconds at the turn. 20 as he turns for home.
Mel, he's not going to top Mel Hall's record.
About half a minute.
He's about a second or two short still of Mel Hall.
He's also going to go down next time.
Number 5 on the season.
Look at him admiring. I don't know, Mike. Anybody who swings a sledgehammer in the on-deck circle, I don't know if he goes down.
Look at Randy Milligan. He never turned around. Jose Bautista knew, just like Dave Parker did. So a couple of home runs for the Brewers, and they've got a 6-1 lead now. Dave Parker in this game has picked up 3 RBIs in his output on the season. Picks up now to 37 runs batted in, 5 home runs.
Do you suspect that that is not a real bonding thing between a pitcher and one of his outfielders when the guy turns into a statue for one of those home runs? I mean, don't you think Batista would say, turn a little?
I love Milligan. Randy Milligan, the first baseman, never moved. When the ball was hit, he stayed. He was down with his hands on his knees. There's Randy. Moose Milligan at first. He never turned around. He knew the ball was gone. He wasn't going to watch it. He just stayed right where he was, staring at home plate.
Orsolak wasn't real busy out there, right?
No. 6-1 lead now. 10 hits for the Brewers. Fouled off with the bases empty and 1 down, and Surhoff was already 2 for 3.
It was a great shot of Milligan.
It was.
I guess if you hit enough of them, when the other guy hits one, you know.
2 home run hitters know the sound off the bat. Surhoff's raised his average now to 302. Nice output for him.
There's been a lot of talk the last couple of years that this guy could play another position, a la Craig Biggio. That Houston now is conducting the Position of the Week contest for Craig Biggio.
But they're winning some games.
Yes. And Craig auditioned in the outfield. I guess he's going to audition in the infield soon.
You got a star and you want him playing a little longer. You don't want him behind the plate. If you got somebody else who can do it, move him out.
I would dispute giving him star status, frankly. Yet.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think I give anybody star status who's only been around for a couple of years.
I wouldn't call him a star yet.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away, but he certainly has the old potential.
No, he's you know, a catcher with some speed, a catcher who could bat lead off.
Well, and he's a small person, too. He's not the bulky, thick guy that generally takes the beating well behind home plate.
That's going to be a line drive to center that's going to fall in for a base hit. Brad Common's got trouble playing that one. And Surhoff has 3 hits. He's 3 for 4 now with a double and 2 singles, and 11 hits for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Bad jump by Comics.
Right fielder, Rob.
He either didn't see it off the bat or just hesitated too long.
Meanwhile, guys, Jose Bautista ain't fooling him.
He's going straight down the chute. See, Comets just didn't get the good jump and then ended up unable to make the dive for the ball.
He's not what you'd call your real pure center fielder.
He's not played a lot of center field.
No.
Still just 1 out here. Should mention the Brewers coming into this game, one of the problems they were having was their home run output was way down from last year. Yeah. They have hit only 39 home runs this season as a team, and 2 of those coming in this game.
And Gary, remember that 21 losses in 32 game streak we're on? In those 32 games, the Brewers have hit only 17 homers. sorry, you hit one homer every other day. That's just not going to get done, especially in an age where the ball this season's jumping, we're told.
Mets hit 17 home runs yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That wind blowing out at Wrigley. Here's Rob Deere now. 2 runs are in. We've had 4 hits in the inning. Nobody's been taken out at the plate. The play at third's the only out. And it's taken up high by Deere.
Meanwhile, try to convince the Kansas City Royals the ball's live these days. 8 runs in their last 7 games.
That's just very hard.
Tough to find a pulse in Kansas City.
Very hard to explain. This ballpark, I gave up a lot of home runs last year. 126 were hit here total. It was 8th in the American League. So it's a pretty fair ballpark for pitchers, even during, well, especially during hot summers. In fact, it gets woefully humid here during the summer. Great thunderstorms to watch, not to play baseball in. It'll really hold baseballs up here as the summer rolls along. Tonight, the Brewers, been no questions about the home runs they picked up, Brock and Parker. Milligan takes the throw. Surhoff back to the bag.
Meanwhile, the pace of the game, which picked up dramatically in the middle innings with Price and Knutson, is now ground back to its early pace.
6-1 lead, Milwaukee. We're in the 7th inning. He held up in time on that pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Strike you, Deere seems to perceive the strike zone a little better. I know it's judging him off a few at-bats tonight, but he's done that. He used to be a wild swinger. When he started, he'd just wail away at it.
Well, the strike zone used to be Wisconsin.
Now it's Rhode Island. I agree with you.
I think that's fair. I think he does. He is a little more patient. Runner goes. Swung on a miss. Throw down by Melvin. It's not in time. Surhoff's doing it all tonight. Surhoff picks up the stolen base, having picked up 3 hits. That's his 6th stolen base. Let's check out baseball tonight, Bill.
All right, Gary, in the Bronx, the Yankees may have run themselves out of this ball game. Bottom of the 8th, Roger Clemens picks off Claudell Washington at first, or does he? The replay shows that Claudell was safe, but he was called out. Then with 2 outs, Roberto Kelly gets the green light. John Marzano guns him down. Boston leads it 2-1 in the top of the 9th. Let's head back to Baltimore.
Boy, what a great throw by Marzano and a pickup out of the dirt. They'll give the intentional pass here to Deere. That's why they traded Gedman.
I'll tell you what, you watch the Red Sox play a lot, and you'll see John Marzano, when he gets a chance, do something good every day. Some little thing to help him.
Greg Brock at the plate here is going to draw the intentional pass, the left-hander, putting runners on at first and second. Greg Vaughn waiting on deck. And there's ball 4 to Brock. There's the first ball given up by Bautista. Don't forget, on Friday night, great doubleheader starting out at 8:30 from the Comiskey Park, the nation's oldest. The Oakland A's and the Chicago White Sox. We're going to find out who's for real. And the Texas Rangers and the Seattle no-hit Mariners taking and giving. That'll be the second part of that doubleheader on Friday night. So we hope you'll join us right here on ESPN. Greg Vaughn with the RBI opportunity. Runners at first and second. 2 away now, and that's foul tip.
Let me ask you a question. How good do you think the White Sox are?
I think the White Sox are playing above their heads, but they can play that way for a season. And they're going to be better next year because they're a young ball club.
With a terrific manager.
With a terrific manager.
And a spectacular bullpen.
Yep, they've got guys, Barry Jones, getting it done.
Well,
the vulture.
Not one.
No play.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Everybody they roll out of their bullpen. Scott Radinsky, Donnie Paul, Barry Jones, Bobby Thigpen. You name it, the guys in their bullpen seem to come in and just snuff things out.
And they're for real. I mean, Radinsky's the young player who's just got that great arm. Yeah. Paul's got that great split-fingered forkball pitch, which he's on. He's tough. Nobody knows him, but he's got a great pitch.
You know, Radinsky pitched an inning and 1 against the Orioles, and everybody's seen he never pitched above Class A. And the writers, after the game, asked him about it. He said, well, I got Ripken out and 2 other guys I didn't know.
That's about it. 2-strike count, nobody covering Silver.
See, now I like that in this day and age, you know, where everybody's supposed to have their head in the Elias baseball book and the baseball abstract. That's an old-fashioned baseball thing that you'd hear.
Yep.
2 guys I didn't know.
And he was telling the truth. 0-2 the count, 2 down. 6-1, Milwaukee leading in the 7th inning. They have 2 runs in, broken back by Vaughn. That one queued up. Ripken's got it, makes the throw to Milligan, and will get the out. A couple of broken bats go flying here. But a couple of runs in for the Brewers on the 2-run homer by the Cobra Dave Parker. 7th inning stretch time for Baltimore.
ESPN Baseball Tonight, brought to you by New Bud Dry, the first beer cold filtered for smooth draft taste and dry brewed for no aftertaste. By Benjamin Moore Paints, available at your local Benjamin Moore dealer. By Goodyear Eagle Radials, the best-selling performance radials in the world. And by Interstate Batteries and their 165,000 dealers serving you all across America.
Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, Wednesday Night Baseball on ESPN, where the Milwaukee Brewers are leading at 6-1. Baltimore playing .500 baseball, 29-29. Brewers 27-29 coming into this one, and Vaughn's broken a couple.
3rd inning, a piece of wood just flew off of Greg Vaughn's bat. Now in the 7th, he snaps another one. Some bad tree gave up his life and did not live long in major leagues, did it?
Can't get that good lumber anymore, can
No.
Let's not overlook the job by that man on the mound right there.
Exactly right.
Mark Knudsen came into this game to face the 3rd batter in the 1st inning when Teddy Higuera's groin bothered him and he had to come out of the game, and Knudsen has been awesome. He has given up just the 1 run and only 4 hits since that 1st inning. He struggled in the last 3 a bit. The Orioles have had 5 left on in the last 3 innings. That one grounded towards the hole, and they've got another leadoff man on as Melvin. Delivers the single. Bob Melvin in the bottom half of the 7th inning gets on base. And the Orioles have the leadoff man on for the 2nd inning in a row.
This surprises me right here. It surprises me in the 7th inning with the leadoff man on that Robinson would let the right-hand hitting Comments hit against the right-hand hitting Knudsen. Comments started tonight because a left-hander started. It's time to maybe roll out a little bit of that bench.
Yeah, but you know what? The right-handed hitting Comics got a hit off the right-handed pitching Knudsen last time up.
And he's 6 for his last 17, which is about as hard as Red Comments has been for a while. So Frank Robinson wants to give him a chance, I guess.
It's not like he's got Boog Powell sitting on the bench either.
No. 6 hits for Baltimore. Runner at first base with nobody out. 7th inning. And Knudsen misses down low, and he's running out of gas. Knudsen's forcing it now. That last pitch, one of those evidence pitches where he tried to just strong-arm the ball to the plate, and you certainly can't blame him. He's done his job. And you see Haney's on the phone to the bullpen, which has been warming up. Andy Etchebarren next to him there. They'll grab Knudsen if he gets in trouble. Burris will come on. 2-0 count. Looking for the strike. 2-1. He's got some room, obviously, to work here with a 6-1 lead.
But what he has done is he's gotten Troublehorn past the most troublesome part of his bullpen, his long relief situation.
He's just been outstanding. 2-1. 2-2. Ooh. Knudsen started a game on June 8th. He had a no decision, and he worked 7 innings. It's the last start for Knudsen. He is right now temporarily in the starting rotation, if you will. He was going to make a start, in fact, this week, which is going to shuffle this Milwaukee Brewer rotation one more time. 2-2. Taken down low, and it's a full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. So Tom Troublehorn's going to have to go back and refigure. He already didn't have a pitcher for the 3rd game of the next series against Cleveland.
This is planned wide for Tom Troublehorn, the pitching staff.
Every night, do it again.
Yep.
3-2. Runner at first, not going. That's going to be fouled on the left field line.
This staff Lord knows what they were going to look like. At the beginning of the year, it was going to be Higuera and Bosio with Jamie Navarro and probably Wegman in August. And maybe Birkbeck if he got well. And it's been up. And Filer's hurt. Wegman's hurt again now. Nieves hasn't come back. And Navarro's ineffective. And it's one thing after another for Trevor Horn and Larry Haney.
This rotation looks like a lot of George Foreman's opponents.
8 starters so far for the Brewers foul back. That's how many they've used this season already.
Well, the discouraging thing about them is injuries hurt, but you're going to get them. The discouraging thing for them was Jamie Navarro. Because Navarro was a kid with a good arm who looked to be arriving. And he simply hasn't.
Some of the Brewers people think that maybe the best thing that's happened to him, that he will go down again and work. That he was throwing very hard, but he could not get the breaking ball in for a strike. And his fastball was just a straight fastball. 3-2 delivery. Foul back again. If he can get down and find a breaking ball that he can get across the plate, he certainly can throw hard enough, but he's got to be able to set that fastball up.
Meanwhile, though, Ron True Creature Robinson is a good pitcher, and he'll help this club.
Robinson had a great start last night, 5 solid innings as a starter. But Baltimore came back to win it in extra innings. 3-2. Bob Melvin on at first base. It's a 6-1 Milwaukee lead. Knutson working hard here. And the count stays at 3-2. Another tough at-bat for Commons.
It's just funny how some organizations are either pitching ignorant, like the Yankees are, or pitching unlucky, or a combination of both. I mean, since the World Series, the Brewers really have not had good, solid pitching at any point, really, after that in the 1980s. And the 90s are starting out the same way, which is why they're still a 500 baseball team.
3-2 delivery. Yet you look, I look at the names.
Oh, there's talent here.
You got people like Bosio. You got Chuck Krim, who's not a bad pitcher, working out of the pen for you. Higuera has the injury again that's going to trouble you there. You got Robinson with you now. You've got some people who can throw, who can pitch, not just throw, but pitch. Place that coming out of the pen. He's 0-3, 5.47 ERA. But you're right, Mike. It doesn't work.
It just turns into the pitcher's clearinghouse sweepstakes after a while, and people come in and people go out, and there's nothing set, and you stay at 500.
3-2 again. Got it. Commons going after probably ball 4. That fastball cutting in on him. That'll be the 3rd strikeout for Mark Knutson, who has walked 3, struck out 3. Is he tiring a bit, do you think? There's what he's doing on his fastball from the 1st inning on.
By the way, that average and high in the 1st inning, that's the one pitch he threw that 1st inning.
Only one. That's all he needed. But hanging in there well.
But again, we saw a pitch that could have altered the flow of this game. If Commons takes that ball, it's 1st and 2nd, and nobody out.
He didn't, and it isn't. 1 down, and still at first, Melvin. Inside for a ball. Melvin's not going to go anywhere, so Greg Brock, first baseman, playing behind him at first base, getting well back to cover the territory.
You hear of guys that aren't a threat to steal. Melvin's hardly a threat to lead off. This is not a man with the base stealing speed.
Brock is already behind him, and he'll back way off.
I mean, Commons not taking that pitch. I mean, there's a reason why some of these guys end up playing more towns than Bob Hope, you know?
Good strike by Knutson. That's certainly one of the reasons he's never been a patient hitter.
Bob Melvin broke into the big leagues in '85 with the Tigers. 3 full years with San Francisco and a full year with Baltimore, and he's up to 4 stolen bases.
He never got paid to run.
No, he didn't.
Him over there at first, number 2 of the Orioles.
But he's a very good catcher, handler, pitcher.
1-1, 1 away. Strike call, 1-2.
It's a great moment in this '85 pennant race. Melvin had come up with the Tigers, and things were coming apart with the Yankees, to say the least. And Billy Martin sent Mike Pagliarulo up to bat right-handed against Mickey Mailer. And the kid Melvin looks up at Pags and says, "What are you doing?" And Mike Pagliarulo very grimly said, "I'm trying to get a base hit."
Truer words were never spoken. 1 down, the 1-2 delivery. Out in front of it, but it's a fair ball over third. Sheffield a throw, 1 hop, he's gone. And boy, he's almost really gone. He's being protected over there at first base by Johnny Oates, the first base coach, number 26.
I thought he was out.
I thought he was safe.
And the only one that mattered was first base umpire Terry Cooney, and Frank Robinson is out there. He's not going to argue. He just wants to protect Billy Ripken right now. Take a look.
All the umpire keeps saying, Terry Cooney, is he was out. Right over the bag. What a play by Sheffield. Let's make you Terry Cooney. Safe.
Was.
Close. Close.
He's safe, and I think he might have cost himself the call by diving.
You make the call.
Yeah, but it's not so glaring a mistake to get hysterical over.
He was so sure he had it beat out. So Frank Robinson's still out there. He may get heaved here. He's arguing a long time with Terry Cooney.
Right now, it appears from the lip sync that they're arguing about throwing the player out. Because it appeared, as Cooney said, what could I do at one point of it?
Well, he threw his helmet, though.
And I think that's his justification.
But once the helmet's thrown, it's just an automatic, and you watch the vociferous act of the helmet going down into Mother Earth here.
Yeah, you're gone.
It's automatic.
Case closed.
Yeah.
What's next on the docket?
There's just no question asked about that. That is what Frank Robinson is arguing about with Joe Brinkman and Cooney.
Haven't you wondered now, what can they possibly still be talking about? What is so relevant now that Frank has to make this point? He threw his helmet. He's out of the game.
Frank just making the point for his players at this point, I suspect. And he knows.
Let me just reconstruct this inning for a second. Let's say
That's Joe Brinkman, by the way, who he's talking with right now.
Let's say Commons takes ball 4. And let's say the call is made properly. This is a potential bases loaded, nobody out. We're in the thick of a rally inning.
If the earth were flat, we wouldn't be here.
And if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, exactly right.
And you see, it's pretty well over. There's Terry Cooney.
Okay, Frank, let's wrap it up.
Joe Brinkman, the crew chief, second base. That's why Robinson was talking with him and just told his players on the bench that I'll go out for you. But Frank knew when he went out wasn't going to be anything happening on this one. Probably just trying to make Knutson right now stand out there on the mound for a while. If anybody ought to be upset, it might be Tom Trebelhorn and Knutson of the Brewers. There are 2 down, a runner on at second base, Melvin. And it'll bring up the leadoff batter, Phil Bradley, who has been one of the bright spots at the plate. A couple of hits, a walk, a run scored. Got a runner in scoring position, but it's 6-1 Milwaukee leading.
Meanwhile, guys, what a play by Sheffield.
It's a shortstop play, too.
Yeah.
That's a shortstop in the hole play, only it's a wonderful throw.
He was well into foul territory. He picked the ball up, made the throw, and tried to one-hop it. And he did. So Billy Ripken is thrown out of the game.
You know, the New York and Chicago scores that keep flashing up, those are baseball scores, in case you're wondering out there. That's not an early Knicks-Bulls game, nor is it a Giants-Bears game. Those really were baseball scores.
Well, that's too many points. That's too many points for the Bears.
Well, I'll tell you, we've had a week of runs. Last Friday night, 98 runs were scored in the National League in those blowout games.
You got what? One team scored 15 runs and had the 3rd highest total of the night?
Usually, what, 23 for the Giants?
The Royals must look at run totals like that and say, how are they doing that?
A lot of Big offensive nights in the past week. 2-strike count, 2 away. Melvin at second base. And Bradley takes the pitch outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bradley hitting at .269, raising the average with a couple of hits that he's picked up. He's been hit by pitches a few times. 5, which leads the American League. Don Baylor would be proud. 1-2. Surhoff, a good stop.
Mariners have had some players, haven't they?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
they really
that's
have.
right, yeah. He started there, hit 300 in 1984 there as a rookie. Then they had one of those off-season dinners, and 1,000 guests at the dinner voted the sports personality of the year. Steve Largent finished first. He finished 4th. Hydroplane racer Chip Hanauer and Jimmy Moore of the Pay and Pack softball team finished 2nd and 3rd.
Gord Short picked up. Spires makes the throw, and he's got it. And that will retire Bradley. No runs, a base hit. The fans booing. Milwaukee Brewers on a 6-game road trip, 3 here in Baltimore, 1 left tomorrow. Then they'll move on to Cleveland. They have not faced the Cleveland Indians yet, and believe it or not, the Baltimore Orioles haven't faced Cleveland, and they haven't faced Boston. Even a third of the way into the season, the Orioles still have 2 teams they've yet to play. They're getting that done in a hurry. Rene Gonzalez comes in at second base with Billy Ripken being thrown out of the game.
Wonder Bread Rene.
Bad number. 88. Bad.
Heck of a wide receiver, though.
Don't get me started on that football thing again.
I won't.
Because
I won't.
No,
and
because
we didn't.
I've made my point.
Just sit there. We didn't get you started
It's
again.
nothing against the state
Here's
of
Bill
Missouri.
Spires, who continued his hit streak into 8 games with a double his first time up in the 2nd inning. He's still got it going. He's hitting .410 in the last 11 games. Number 9 hitter Bill Spires. We are going to put your phone number up for people in Missouri.
Okay.
Outside for a ball.
I had nothing against the people of Missouri.
You dumped on their football program.
That the Arch in St. Louis, a little tacky. Okay, big deal. The fact is,
Oh, my gosh!
the fact is that they just haven't measured up in college football lately. That's all.
Lately. Popped up, third base, foul territory, Worthington. We'll continue our discussion of Missouri football. Thank God Bill Patrick's here, Bill.
Well, that's what I say, Gary. Let's go to the vet in Philadelphia, where Dave Schmidt was trying to nail it down for the Expos, bottom of the 9th, but it's Ron Jones who nails Schmidt. Leading off the bottom of the 9th, a solo shot, his 2nd homer of the night. They have gone to the 10th, 3-3, but the Expos have runners on 2nd and 3rd. Let's head back to Baltimore.
Yes, they are flying out of the yards.
That was a shot.
Dave must not have reached to the back of the hat to get something extra for that one.
Got something extra after it was out of there. Paul Molitor, leadoff batter, 1 down, nobody on, 8th inning. Molitor batting .282. Ow, Bautista hit that with his bare hand. Worthington threw it away. Going down to second base is Molitor. Chased down by Milligan. Molitor's going to go to third base. Milligan will make the long throw, and it will not be there in time. That will be a single for Molitor off Bautista, and a 2-base throwing error by Worthington. Molitor ends up at third with 1 away.
And there goes the streak.
There it goes.
Orioles were working on this, their 16th game without an error by an infielder.
Now Randy Milligan's limping back after the long throw, and the question is Bautista all right after taking that shot off his body?
Ooh, cue ball in the back pocket.
I'll tell you what, this is one bad bounce on Milligan's throw away from Paul Molitor going all the way there.
And now Frank Robinson's on his way out. This is not a visit for injury. This is just a straight trip. That's what home plate umpire, well, maybe it isn't. Umpire's staying there, so Robinson apparently has said it is an injury visit.
By the way, the Orioles, you know, we've talked about Worthington, who's made some terrific plays tonight. Orioles have got a kid at Rochester named Leo Gomez. He's 23 years old. He's leading the International League in homers with 13 and RBIs with 43. People that have seen him say it isn't going to be long before the Orioles are going to have to find a place for Leo in the big leagues.
You don't mind having that waiting?
No, that's not a bad problem to have.
Isn't it nice that the Orioles have those problems again? After they were just the worst team in baseball, it seems like about 25 minutes ago.
Infield is drawn in. Sheffield, it won't matter, to left field. Back for it. Catch we made on a hard line drive. Bradley rather makes the catch, and scoring on it is Molitor. So Sheffield has the sacrifice fly, picks up the RBI. Sheffield has 17 runs batted in, and it's a 7-1 Milwaukee lead. Molitor scoring the run, which may well be unearned, depending on what happens in this inning. Boy, was that ball hit by Sheffield. He has really hit the ball hard.
Here's a guy who's one Worthington away from being 4 for 4 tonight. Robin Yount.
Yep. Worthington has robbed him twice on great plays at third base. Going in the hole to get one and going to the backside to get another. Yet Yount still has the 2 for 4. And Bautista gets the pitch in. Robin Yount hitting .245 with the 2 for 4 he thus far has put up on the board. Bautista missing that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 18 years old when he broke into the major leagues. We were talking about young ball players earlier. Robin Yount, one of those who just came right out of high school.
Remember when he retired at age 20 for 3 days, saying he was going to go to the golf tour?
I do remember that.
Thank goodness. Changed his mind about that.
On the other hand, he might have $51 million in the bank by now.
True. 2-2. Good fastball by Bautista, reaching for it. He's out. He's gone. Bautista with a couple of strikeouts, an unearned run here in the 8th inning. Brewers have upped their lead now 7-1. And our Budweiser storyline tonight, there it is. Higuera had to leave. That groin injury acting up after just 2 hitters. Spires, big RBI double for Milwaukee. The 2 home runs, Brock and Parker, and the pitching job of Mark Knudsen, who came on for 6 2/3 innings. And you see what he did. Just a very strong performance for Knudsen. And he's gone, and Randy Veras is on.
24-year-old Randy Veras, California-born. First-round selection in the January free agent draft in 1985, has worked his way up through the Brewers system. Helena, Beloit, El Paso, Stockton, Denver, and finally to Milwaukee late last season. He's here basically because of the injuries they've had. The Brewers had ticketed him to pitch at AAA this season. By the way, one last note on the last inning. The Orioles gave up an unearned run. You have seen another of baseball's rarities, gentlemen. That's only the 16th unearned run the Orioles have given up this year. Only, if you would believe this, Cleveland has allowed less unearned runs, 13. You see Kiki Diaz down the game. To put it in some kind of perspective, the Orioles came into tonight having allowed 15 unearned runs. The Dodgers had allowed 45.
That's a lot of unearned runs.
Yes, California 43. What is it about California teams? They can't pick the ball up. It's that area.
It's sand on their feet.
That's what it is. It's that LA area. It's okay up the coast.
I'll tell you something. You don't want to have too many Southern California type players on your team.
Uh-oh.
Why not?
Well, because I just feel that the Lakers were a rarity in Southern California. I mean, I really think that it's unusual for any kind of greatness to be sustained. I think it's a lifestyle or something.
Are there any states where you can still live?
No, it's unusual that this has come up a couple of times tonight, but this has always been a pet peeve of mine in sports, that you don't want players who have played there a long time or who come from there. Yeah, Fred Lynn.
1 ball. I didn't say that. Grounded towards second base, and that's a base hit. Joe Arcelak is on with a single, 7th hit. for the Orioles, and they've got the leadoff man on again. They've had the leadoff man on now for the last 3 innings in a row and 4 innings in the game. They've not been able to convert that into runs here, picking up their 1 run in the 4th inning on a Worthington RBI single. And we're in the bottom of the 8th now, and they're down by 6.
Can I say something defensive Fred Lynn? He's one of 71 million Southern California athletes in the last 50 years. Fred, we didn't mean to focus on.
No, it's just that I think of him as being sort of that laid-back type of athlete that just, to me, typifies the Southern California athlete. I didn't mean to pick on Fred Lynn. I was a big fan of Fred Lynn when he first came up with the Red Sox.
1-0 delivery, Milligan off the handle. That's a jam shot. That's going to fall in for a base hit. Orsolak playing it halfway will stay at second base. Diaz jumps up, throws it in, and the Orioles continue to do what they have done since the 4th inning, and that's get people on base.
You look back at this game, and the Orioles have had chances. They had a man at second, nobody out. They had the bases loaded, 1 out. You look at the board, and it's a 7-1 game. Ripken barely misses the slam in this game. This looks like a laugher in tomorrow morning's paper, and it isn't.
8 hits for Baltimore. They're behind 7-1. They have stranded 6. And that's all those 6 were left on in the last 4 innings.
I think in their first 45 or so games, they had close to 400 runners left on base.
466 now. It's hard to believe they could even get that many on. That's those walks again. I mean, you're hitting only 243, as we mentioned, next to last in the league. But those walks mount up. They don't add up to runs. Foul back in the big cut by Mickey Tettleton, who's 0 for 2. He did draw the walk in the 4th, batting 243.
To show you how walks affect the game, though, while they are Frank Robinson's team 13th in hitting, they're 4th in on-base percentage.
That can really be a misleading statistic if you think it adds up to anything that people left on. That one bounced. And the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. And the Orioles going to be able to mount one of those late rallies down by 6.
Well, meanwhile, here's Tom Troublehorn thinking, can I get somebody out of my bullpen, please, to give me an easy game?
There is pitch, misses outside, and he's talking to himself, and the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. 2 on, Orsolak and Milligan. And Tettleton with a 3-1 count will get one to hit right here, maybe.
Knowing Tettleton and his patience, it's got to be right where he wants it to swing.
It was in the wheelhouse, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Asking the home plate umpire where that pitch was. He thought it was up in the strike zone. Tettleton doesn't mind that because he can drive that pitch. And that's what he was trying to do. They need the run, so he's looking for the long ball. They also need the big inning, but for Tettleton, that means home run. There's the right-hander. Runners go. Swung and a miss. Throw to third, not in time. The runners will move up, but Tettleton is gone. Orsolak and Milligan pick up the stolen base. 1 each. 2 in scoring position with 1 away, and Worthington coming up. Tettleton has struck out twice swinging. Andy Varys gets his first. And again, the Orioles look for the big hit. Worthington with the RBI, the only RBI in the 4th inning. Surhoff again, just getting the body in front of that one. Fury's on the breaking ball. Tending to bounce it now in front of home plate. He hasn't got the distance on that one yet. Surhoff saving him a wild pitch. towards the hole at second base. Backhanded by Brock. Pitcher covers and gets the bag. A run scores as Orsolak crosses with the second run for the Orioles. But more importantly for the Brewers was the out. Credit Worthington with another RBI. The Brewers will take that. Good play by Brock.
Often, first basemen are criticizable for ranging too far from the bag, but not here. If the second baseman has to make that play, it probably doesn't get made.
Boy, he almost missed that bag.
Yeah.
He had miscalculated the positioning of the bag as he was going over it. Cal Ripken, the 0 for 3. And the negative numbers continue to pile up for him. .210 batting average now. Strike one.
You know, they're burying the ball inside to Cal Ripken. The jam shot on the double play was what he hit, and Varys comes right in and just busts the ball in the inside corner against him.
Again, one of the possible reasons for that, with that bad back, because he can't bend, he has to stride into the plate to try and cover the outer half. And when he does that, he's vulnerable to that inside pitch.
There again.
You know, in this business, it's always folly to tell fans when to cheer and when to boo. I mean, booing is one of the few rights that the guy who buys a ticket has left. But you really have to wonder about this guy hearing it in Baltimore. And he hears it every time up now.
Yeah. You know, he broke Everett Scott's record the night before last. Scott's record and Gehrig's record, they were 1-2. An amazing connection to them.
Runner at third base, 2 down, and Ripken takes it down low.
In 1925, Everett Scott had played 1,307 games in a row before the Yankees finally set him down and replaced him in the lineup with Pee Wee Waninger. When Scott went to the bench that night, he sat on the Yankee bench next to a kid named Lou Gehrig, who would start his consecutive game streak less than a month later, pinch hitting for Pee Wee Waninger.
And now you know the rest of the story.
2-0 pitch. Thank you, Paul. A tapper. Play will be to first. Good gun. There is getting over to cover his position, and again, Ripken ends an inning. He has ended an inning 4 times tonight. Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. The Brewers have led throughout, 7-2. They've got the lead going to the 9th inning. See whether or not they can add to it. Gary Thorne, Norm Hitzges, Mike Lupica on our Wednesday night baseball here on ESPN. Jose Bautista pitching and Dave Parker. It took a long time running out his last home run. Will Bautista dare come inside? Not on that one. Strike one.
It's just not done anymore. I mean, the guy took 30 seconds to Cadillac his way around, and you would think he'd get buzzed this time, and he didn't.
Maybe the second pitch like Tim Drummond did to Hall.
You better think twice about doing that to Dave Parker.
You know,
You can come inside on it. That's all right, but
of all the free agent signees in the offseason, this one made the most sense.
here's the 1-1. Yeah, that's taken down low. Bautista, the third pitcher. Dave Johnson, Joe Price. Joe Price, a good job. He went 3 innings, no runs on a hit. A walk and a couple of strikeouts. Bautista has given up 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. And Parker's home run. Fouled it off.
Last year, the Brewers, all the Brewers left-hand hitters combined hit 28 homers. All their DHs hit 10 homers. And their number 3 hitter hit 7 homers last year.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Fouled off by Parker. Two balls, 2 strikes, a 7-2 lead for the Brewers in the 9th. Bautista trying to hold them where they are. As the Orioles will get a final shot at it. Bottom third of the order will be due up, by the way, for Baltimore. Parker off the handle. Drives it foul. Nice play. The ball drilled down the right field line. One off that one.
See, I don't believe Parker's a power hitter anymore, a consistent slugger in this league. I really don't think he has been for a long time. I think his presence and the fact that he's going to hit for a high average helps them out a lot.
He's certainly hitting for the average.
But muscle, I don't think so.
Bautista delivers, and it's swung on and hit the right field and add another. And Dave Parker picks up the base hit, so Parker has picked up 3 RBIs. He's had a home run and now a single to go 2 for 4 on the night. And he is going to come out of the game as he leads off the ninth with a single, and good night's work done.
And as he leaves the field, he tosses his game gum in foul territory down the first baseline.
We're sure some fan will certainly want to pick that up.
Gee, there's a lucky fan.
Hamilton has come on to be the pinch runner. And B.J. Surhoff stands in for the Brewers. Bautista will hold him on at first base. And a Brewers comeback. This is a big comeback for Milwaukee. Remember last night they really blew a ball game. Had a 3-0 lead at one point. Orioles tied it up in the ninth and a home run by Tettleton. Won it in a home run by Milligan in the 10th. It's a back-breaking kind of loss, and for the Orioles a real uplifting win. But here tonight the Brewers have dominated. 13 hits for them now. And a 7-2 lead. Bautista, Surhoff down the left field line. That's a base hit. Surhoff drops it in. Big night for him, making the turn. Hamilton at third, looking. Bradley's got it. Will get it back in, and it's another double. B.J. Surhoff 4 for 5, 2 doubles, 2 singles, and a run scored.
And the only time they got him out, he drives Orsulak to within about 3 feet of the wall to end the first inning.
So the Orioles pitching staff getting tattooed. Bautista in particular here, because Price got the job done in middle relief, giving up just 1 hit. 7 hits have been given up by Bautista. No question about that one. Surhoff dumped that into that left field corner. And the Orioles again will move the infield in with Hamilton at third and Surhoff at second. Deere at the plate. Hard ground ball. He's got an RBI. Breaking ball by Bautista.
You know, a lot of times people talk about the infield being in and how the ground ball shoots through a lot easier. That's very true. You know, there's another effect of it. Infielders can't get back on little jam job pop flies, and those drop a lot when the infield's in.
And the outfield in this case has to play deep on Deere, so there's a lot of room between the infielders and the outfielders.
And there's a lot of bloop territory out there.
Same pitch, same result. 2 strikes.
By the way, we're not going to get any relief for Bautista. This is apparently his game to close from an Orioles standpoint. Their bullpen is just watching.
Two-strike count. 2 in scoring position. Teased him with a fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
We rush past the 3-hour and 20-minute mark in this game.
Very little rushing in this game. 1-2 delivery is outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Announcement that for Surhoff, 4-hit night. Ties the best he's ever had. 2-2 count. Got him. That's the one he got all 3 swings on. 3rd strikeout for Bautista. 1 away now in the 9th inning. And that will bring up Greg Brock, first baseman. Brock's contributed with a home run in this game. Next Wednesday, we were joking earlier about it, but indeed we will be in Toronto. We'll have the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. Regional game, Baltimore and Cleveland, 7:30 Eastern time.
Do we get to stay in the hotel?
I don't know. It would be nice. How about doing the game from a hotel room?
Well, just about everything else has been done in the hotel room.
I'm not going to say anything.
Greg Brock.
What a fun place, though.
Intentional pass being given by Bautista to Greg Brock. Brock has already drawn one of these. And he's going to draw another one to load the bases for Greg Vaughn.
Those people in Canada love their baseball, don't they?
Yes. Intentional pass. Sacks are full. Our Wednesday game from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, where the Brewers have dominated with a 7-2 lead in the top half of the ninth inning. Those are the threesome, aggravating your earlobes tonight at different intervals. 14 hits for Milwaukee to 8 for Baltimore. And here's Vaughn, the big opportunity. Bases loaded, 1 out. Vaughn has a 4-game hit streak he has not extended yet tonight. Here's an opportunity to do it in grand style. Hamilton at third, Surhoff at second, Brock at first, infield at double play depth. Still some of the 25,000 plus who are on hand tonight hanging in.
It really does look like a traffic jam down there, doesn't it? There's 16 people in that infield now.
Looks like a softball game.
Yeah, coaches, umpires, runners, infielders, pitcher, catcher, hitter.
1-1 delivery. Vaughn fouls it back. 1 ball and 2 strikes. See from this performance by Jose Bautista just how hard he throws. But if he makes a mistake with that fastball and gets it in the strike zone, as the Brewers have done tonight, it gets teed up on. And his breaking ball has generally been out of the strike zone, so the hitters are just waiting for the fastball. Bautista with the advantage here. 1-2 count. Sacks full, ground to the third. He splinters his third bat. There's one, and they get the double play around the horn to retire the side. He's broken 3 bats tonight. That time Vaughn ends up hitting into the double play. Last chance coming up for Baltimore.
The team ERA took a bit of a beating.
Ooh. Probably about a run. Orioles get a final shot at it here. Melvin waiting. Randy Berry is the 3rd pitcher for the Brewers on for his 2nd inning of work, giving up a run on a couple of hits in the 8th inning.
What's held this all up was Surhoff was on base when the inning ended, so he had to get back over to the dugout, put his equipment on, and then for some reason he needed 3 or 4 pitches to get warmed up himself for the inning.
Well, after all that, we are ready to go.
By now, I'd be warmed up if I caught this game. How about you?
I would. Dave Johnson will be the losing pitcher in this game. He'll go 5-4, ending his modest 2-game win streak.
Easy now, easy now. The announcers last night were saying the same thing in the bottom of the 9th inning. Who'd win and who'd lose?
Book it. Melvin, 1 strike count. Fastball taken for a strike. All he's got to do is come at him right now. Just throw strikes here, and he does. He goes up 0-2. Melvin, of course, wants to take a couple. He wants to get on base.
Look it up the scoreboard. Montreal's got ahead of Philadelphia. You know who can manage my baseball team? Buck Rogers can.
Yep.
He's a good one.
Everybody thought that team was dead this year with the people they lost. And the Expos just show up ready to play every day, and that is really a tribute to Rogers. He's a good manager.
What a farm system they put together, and they've added to it this season with a tremendous draft, at least in numbers. 1-2 delivery. Breaking ball, did he go? Yes. Home plate umpire making the call. He's tagged out, doesn't like it. Melvin arguing, and again, Tim Cheetah will just go dust off home plate. That's how Cheetah avoids discussions. He's done it twice tonight. When he's had arguments at home plate on calls, he just bends over and pretends to dust off the plate.
You know, Berry's pitched to that hitter from the stretch the whole time. This guy's a starter. He's not a reliever in his career.
He's working on being one. Swung on a miss by Comets. He's taking the 1 for 3 here. 9th inning, a 7-2 lead for Milwaukee as the Brewers trying to inch back to that 500 mark. Will be 28-29. And Baltimore, that struggled to stay there, is going to drop a game below 29-30.
I can't imagine, though, a win being any more depressing to Milwaukee than to see Ted Higuera walk off the mound after 2 hitters.
1-1. Foul bag. He tried after the groin pull took him out of his last start against the Orioles last week. Tried to come back, but 2 hitters was all he could do. We have not received any report. I'm sure they'll wait till tomorrow to determine what the status of it is.
Losing the ace of the staff is, forget performance, okay? Obviously, this is a bad pitching staff, and you miss him there. But losing the ace is something emotional and psychologically damaging to a baseball team. I saw it last year with Dwight Gooden in the Mets. You see it all the time because even in good staffs where you say, oh, the number 2 guy will step up, it's different.
And you know what else it does, Mike? You take the innings, and one guy doesn't replace him. You have to give more innings than certain pitchers deserve, and you talk 3 or 4 guys get more innings than they deserve.
It's a tremendous domino effect, and it is felt from number 2 through 5 and into the bullpen. It's a big baseball deal when something like this happens, and if he's hurt again for any length of time, they can't win.
Well, let's hope he's not. For baseball's sake, inside, that's the last thing Randy Berry's wanted to do.
But you're very right, Mike. If this club's going to make a run, and they've got an offense enough to make a run, if Yount's bat's waking up and Vaughn's back and healthy, they've got a team good enough to win. But their winning has to depend on Higuera and Bosio being healthy right all the way through the 1st of October.
They got to make another deal for another Ron Robinson. I just don't think the Brewers right now is presently constituted to win the American League East.
One down, runner on at first base, 7-2 Milwaukee lead. Bears trying to shut the door. That one will be played by Diaz. Good play. Diaz ranging into shallow right field to come up with that. Comets moves to second base. Billy Ripken's out of there. Take a look at Diaz.
Well, this is a fine play.
Backpedaling as he made the throw and got him in plenty of time. 2 down. Orioles down to their final out. Bradley waiting. Swung on a miss. Bradley's had a couple of hits. 2 for 3. A walk, a run scored. Big blows in this game, though, have been the home runs. Brock, 2-run homer in the 3rd. Parker, 2-run homer in the 7th. Dave Parker, 3 RBI night. Bradley down to 3rd. Vera's trying to make the top play. Great arm, and he got him, and that's it. Good pull off the bag by Brock that time. And he helped his pitcher out a little bit right there. No runs, no hits. Base runner left on, and that's it. So it's the Milwaukee Brewers rebounding from the tough loss last night. They win it by a score of 7-2. And we thank you for joining us here at Wednesday Night Baseball. Thorne Hetzkes, Mike Lupica, this is Gary Thorne. We'll take you back to our Baseball Tonight studio.